You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here.
Ding dong. Hello?
Everybody three count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I didn't get here because I was cute, or because I came from some famous wrestling family, or because I sucked up to the right people. I got here because I am good. I earned this championship.
Frustrated into the goddamn word for it. This is bullshit.
Brett made a very, very selfish decision. Brett's going to have to live with that for the rest of his life. Brett screwed Brett. I have no sympathy whatsoever for Brett.
This is my show, and I'm sick of all of you calling me the coward. You're the cowards. I'm the one here day in and day out in that wrestling ring beating people up. Thank you very much.
I don't steal opportunities. I am the opportunity.
3 ain't enough now. I need 5. Welcome in, Jim.
I'm an idiot.
Ryan.
I'm a sausage guy.
Matt.
Who gives a shit?
Tim.
Right on the cock.
And intern Mark.
Hi, boys.
I'm going to tell y'all with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to 3 Count Thursday. We are live Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube tonight, and we are glad to be with you. We are still the podcast of the millennium. It is July the 8th, 2021. Make sure you go to 3countthursday.com. Our social media links are there. Our merchandise over at whatamaneuver.net.
What a maneuver.
Thank you, Tim. Our Collar and Elbow brand deal, store.collarandelbowbrand.com. Store.collarandelbowbrand.com, excuse me. Use promo code 3count. Our home network, of course, NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. And our secondary home is the Leib Sports and Music Network. Ryan, how do you spell that?
LEEIB sports.com.
That is the one. So obviously, different face with us here tonight. There's no intern Mark. I would say we gave him the night off, but we don't pay him or anything like that. So I don't even know where he is, if we're being brutally honest. I have no clue where Mark is, but he's a guy that we borrow topics with. There's no Take 3 wrestling podcast this week. So we just borrowed the guy. Ernest Christian, welcome into the show, man. How are you?
Yeah, don't borrow the topics, just borrow the guy this week.
Right.
How you guys doing, man? It's an honor and privilege to be on the show, number one. As I say, my favorite wrestling podcast in the land. So I'm a loyal listener. Listen every week. You know.
we certainly do appreciate that. We're glad you're with us. Now you get to see how the sausage is made each and every week here. So
speaking of
I'm a sausage guy.
there we go. Speaking of sausage, you beat to the punch, bud.
Ryan, what was that face for?
What was that face for?
He knew it was coming, that's why.
We have been doing this for 5 minutes, and you have to start with your name on the top of my shit list?
Well, I mean, but like that's like a saying. How this, you could see how the sausage is made.
That's not a saying.
The bacon.
But what, Ryan, are you a bacon guy?
I love bacon.
You do, but you're more of a sausage guy.
I'm a sausage guy. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. That's a saying, Jim. How the sausage is made, that's just a cheap shot.
Actually a saying.
Yeah.
Come on this day, let's get discussed. Come on, move on.
It is a thing. Though. It really is a thing, Ryan. Though, to be fair, it is a thing.
See, Ernest knows.
Whose side
Ernest,
are you on?
we'll start with you, Ernest, since you are the guest.
How you doing?
I'm good. Great show last night. AEW Dynamite. Hope you
Yeah,
guys last night.
We will obviously talk about that before we get to our wrestlers of the week, and which you did contribute to the standings, I believe, this week. So,
Yes.
Ryan, since we already got you fired up,
How you doing?
He's
Good.
muted.
So good. Real good.
good.
Love being here every week.
We can tell that you love being here every week.
Yeah, I'm not going to be here in 2 weeks. So, Ernest, instead of stealing stuff from your podcast directly that week, maybe you can just cover for me in 2 weeks. We'll still steal shit from you. Who knows?
We'll still steal it, but-
Maybe we can have that scientist guy who I'm sure didn't go to college for science on the show. Who knows?
Scientist guy.
The mad scientist guy. He's mad. I don't know.
Oh, that guy.
Now let's not do that. Move on.
What the hell is even that?
Tim.
How you doing?
I don't know how to react to not having intern Mark around other than I'm not going to need as much energy as before. So today we're
For the
drinking
love of God.
Liquid Death mineral water, baby. Gotta stay hydrated.
There we go.
Liquid Death. It's what I wish I were drinking. Instead, it's water. All right, here we go.
Is it really water?
Yes.
Oh shit. Okay.
Actually water.
Is it
Just water.
just plain water or like fizzy water?
Liquid Death mineral or Liquid Death mountain water drinking from the Alps. It's just water. Now they do have a sparkling version in a black can, but this is the hardest anyone will ever look drinking water.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it
true.
looks like I'm drinking almost a tall boy.
I know. I thought you were
Of-
drinking a beer, and I was
No,
very.
this
Badass can. It's a badass can too. On
This
top
is-
of that.
There it is.
It's the opposite of Private Party. It's just water.
Tastes like shit too.
It's not that bad.
Oh, Matt apparently does not like it. Tim got possessed. Apparently,
Yeah.
Matt.
How you doing?
Well, I'm doing real good, boys. Real good.
I love it.
Gotta give a shout out to Mark. Miss you this week. Hope you're having some sugar rush on the dozen blueberry whoopie pies that you consumed. But I am doing well.
Hi, boys.
Thank you. Can somebody hit it, please?
We're almost to the
Hi, boys.
weekend. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, your daughter's birthday today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Happy birthday.
Turned 2 yesterday. So
That's
she
Unreal that
Congrats, Mazel Tov, man.
already
Thank
too.
you. I know. She had quite the day. A little bit of a sugar rush right before bedtime. So we won't be doing that anytime soon.
We won't do that for Ryan either. He gets
I can
grumpy
relate.
to sleep.
It's just candy cigarettes.
Did you kick the habit yet, Ryan? Or are you back on him again? Are you floating?
Smokey. What are you doing, Smokey?
I might have dabbled back in the candy cigarettes.
No, Smokey.
We got a report from cousin Brian. Mark is still combing the grassy area under the Comet, looking for his hat. So,
The Comet goes so slow. He didn't lose his hat on the Comet.
well, it could have been one of those loose dad hats, that
He went real fast on the super duper looper and it just shot the hat out
shot all the way over.
all the way
over to the Comet.
Yep.
That's
Caught
believable.
Caught a jet stream and loop swoop and pulled it into the.
Where the term real fast and super duper looper hasn't been put in the same sentence since the 70s.
Well, it went fast that day
That's what he wears it up high. Wears it up high on his head.
because he's an old.
Yeah, he's old. He's
The
an old.
older you get, the less
The higher-
Like it's almost like a wearable umbrella.
Right, like this.
That's fair.
I think this is my last year I can wear my hat this low, I believe.
You're pushing it.
You've already gone past the stage of leaving stickers on your hat. You've aged out of that, correct?
Yeah, no stickers. No stickers.
You're
Stickers
too
are
old
out.
for that.
That was such a sad time for me. The year I had to start taking the stickers off my hat.
Oof, tough one.
Yeah.
No, EJ, I noticed you are a hat wearer as well. Is that a fashion statement or like
No,
a
that's
lack of hair statement like Ryan's dealing with?
I look good with no hair.
Oh, you do?
Yo,
Oh, shoot. There's nothing
The
up
whole,
there.
Around
the
hat.
whole top row is the going home section. All
Yeah,
the
look at
hat.
that, man. I look good here. This is by choice.
No
For the
kidding.
I've got some on the side, yo.
Yo, you need
This shit's going back.
You got the
But it's still
LeBron.
there.
You got the LeBron James going on. You and Jim both.
Yeah, I did a fresh shave this week, but yeah, one of the guys I golf with told me that it looked like my hairline was running away from my face, which is
Yeah.
fair. I mean, I look at my face every day, and it's.
What was your response?
I said, yeah, I would too. That was
This is the best part of the podcast for me. It's all going to go downhill. EJ just compared me to LeBron James.
I'm
There
saying
will
the
be
hair.
nothing better. I don't care what it was. There's nothing better that will happen to me this podcast.
Ryan's
than
here.
a-
He can only come
It's
down.
only going to go downhill.
Peak Ryan.
I hope everybody
Sausage
enjoys
guy.
this part.
I mean, to be fair, we are going to talk AEW, so yes, it's going to be a quick crash. But
Here we
No,
go.
I enjoyed that show.
no, it actually was. It was really good. But we got to do the first of our weekly segments, and then we'll talk about AEW. If you're following along with us in the live video, give us a like and a share. So I always have the video going on my iPad, and for some reason this week it's generating captions as it goes, and it's hilarious. It's
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything that we're actually saying, but
I wonder if it's StreamYard that's doing it.
maybe.
So
Jason,
if you're hearing impaired, do not read what's down there.
Oh, yeah, don't
we are
read.
in no control of that.
Jason checking in AEW trash can.
Hi, Jason.
Oh, welcome back, Jason. Haven't seen you in a little while, but let's hit it. Let's hit this one. Of course, we are looking at July the 8th in pro wrestling history. One birthday today. Marcel Bartel was born today in 1990. 1985, Don Morocco is crowned the first ever King of the Ring, winning a one-night tournament in Foxborough, Massachusetts at Sullivan Stadium before 23,000 fans. Prior to 1993 King of the Ring pay-per-views, WWE held annual King of the Ring tournaments at house shows from 1985 to 1991 to boost attendance at those events. Morocco defeated the Junkyard Dog in the first round, Les Thornton in the quarterfinals, Pedro Morales in the semifinals, and the Iron Sheik in the finals.
I will always applaud for Don Morocco.
Very
The
nice.
original Rock.
And little does anyone know, he has a podcast.
Found out this week.
Yeah,
Found
that
out-
was- I think we all
I
found that
think
out this week.
The entire wrestling world found the worst news from a podcast with Don Morocco and a British guy.
Yeah, sure did. Sure did. And isn't that the Boar's dad, Don Morocco?
That's
Or
one of them.
one of his dads.
It's Don Morocco or it's Butch Reed or it's
Okay.
Booker T. But either way, like
Any of them is
Yeah.
a
A
good
scientist just took the seed of the three of them
yeah, it's
in a beaker and a Bunsen burner, melted it
Mad
down.
scientist.
for the small cross section of wrestling fans who watch or listen to 3 Count Thursday and also watched Glee. It's a very much a Leah Michelle Rachel situation
Wow.
where her two dads mix their sperm into one super seed and then impregnated a horrible Jewish woman to birth Rachel.
I won't lie. My wife loves Glee, so I've watched it with her. Just 'cause.
Yo, and one of her dads, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
There you go.
What a god! What a man! On this day,
1996, Rey Mysterio Jr. defeats Dean Malenko for the WCW Cruiserweight title in Florida at the Disney MGM Studios. This was the first of 8 title reigns with the belt for Rey in WCW and WWE. 2002, during the end of a 10-man match on Raw, Kevin Nash, in his first match back in action in months after recovering from a biceps injury suffered an injury to his left quadricep muscle. The sad thing about the injury was that Nash didn't even know he would be wrestling that night until he got to the building. He was scheduled to return to action that coming weekend at house shows, but when he arrived at Raw, he found out he was booked on that night's show. He didn't even have gear with him. They had to have it sent to him at Raw. As a result of his injury, WWE decided to let go of the NWO concept, which had already been weakened by Hulk Hogan's face turn and Scott Hall's departure. In 2012, PW Insider confirmed that WWE signed British star Pac, who had been working for Dragon Gate in Japan and Dragon Gate USA, billed as the man that gravity forgot overseas. He was rechristened, of course, as Adrian Neville for developmental. Also in 2012, TNA holds their 8th Destination X pay-per-view from the Impact Zone in Orlando, Florida, in front of 1,100 fans. The tagline for the show was "I am the main event." The show featured 9 matches, including Zema Ion defeating Kenny King, Mason Andrews, and Sanjay Dutt in the Ultimate X Tournament final to win the vacant TNA X Division Championship. And in the main event, Austin Aries defeated Bobby Roode to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
Hold on. Who was in that main event?
Oh, it was Austin Aries and Bobby Roode.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't get the accent at first. It's a little weird.
No problem.
Pennsylvania Dutch jumped in.
It happens. 2013, on an episode of Monday Night Raw from Baltimore, Maryland, the Wyatt family of Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan make their on-screen debut on the main roster. And then finally, 1 year ago, 2020, during night 2 of NXT's Great American Bash, Keith Lee defeated Adam Cole in a winner-takes-all match to become the NXT champion and retain his North American title. Those are the events that occurred July the 8th in pro wrestling history.
That match feels like 5 years ago.
Yeah. When I saw people talking about that today, I was like, that was just a year ago. Oddly enough, I think that was the last time Keith Lee was seen by WWE audiences, right?
No, he had that love affair with Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble.
That was before.
No, that was before that.
That was before. That was
Royal Rumble 2020.
That might be it.
No, he won the title.
People were actually allowed to be.
He held the title for like a month or two and lost to the Karrion Kross, and that was it. He was gone.
Yeah, and then he came up to the main roster. He wrestled twice and has not been seen since.
I hate to bring this up, but at the very first episode of the year, we gave our bold predictions, and I'm fearful that my bold prediction will come true.
What was
my bold prediction was that Keith Lee will not hold singles championships in the WWE this year. And unfortunately, we're
over halfway home.
Ooh, we're on a roll, baby.
Yeah, you're looking good.
Yeah. Now, do you think at this point they're just holding him until crowds return?
Maybe.
Hopefully.
I mean, he's not hurt. I heard he's not hurt anymore. That's not
right.
hurt.
You would think he'd be whatever minor injury reportedly that he had suffered. You would hope that he recovered from it in 7 months.
It would make sense for them to hold that for live crowds then, just because they're not going to have a ton of returns, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think, the last month or so, especially on the Raw side, has felt kind of cruise control-ish. Where it's just, let's just keep going this way. And
he did tweet though 6 hours ago.
Yeah,
you saw that.
Yeah, what did it say?
Basically saying, "Patience, my friends. There is zero quit in me, so don't you quit on me. I miss you and I love you."
Okay. So I mean, that's hopefully.
So it's like his monthly tweet every 2 weeks. He tweets roughly the same thing about that.
Something
right?
along.
Oh,
those
really? Okay.
Every once in a while, Yim's like, "Hey, let's just respect some privacy, right?" And then that's
wink,
pretty
wink.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I hope that it's just one of those things that they're waiting until the crowds return. Oh, we got some. Looks like we got some breaking news.
Word.
I hope this isn't what I heard earlier.
Tomorrow night on SmackDown, King Shinsuke Nakamura will take on Baron Corbin in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. Tomorrow night.
Not what I heard. Mine was a little.
Yours was
a little worse.
Oh no.
I don't have any confirmations on it yet, but
okay.
It's about SummerSlam.
Uh-oh.
The Summerfest.
The Summerfest. Yes.
I need to get those sounders on
Yeah.
the board. We have a little bit of time, obviously, for that. Before we get to Wrestler of the Week, obviously last night AEW back on the road.
You're going to tease us with what you heard and not tell us?
Well, Jim
I
just
don't-
cut him
I-
off completely anyway.
I don't have two sources, so I can't go with it.
I was gonna
don't
say,
need
I,
two sources.
I know Tim speak. I knew he wasn't gonna give it up.
Yeah.
Drop it in the chat.
Yeah,
We don't have we have a private chat.
correct.
Okay, so people look.
I
at
will
the
Morris
news.
code it out
Look
to
at-
EJ with blinks.
So look at the news of what's going on in Vegas right now.
What is that? The
and-
hurricane coming up the coast? I don't fucking
Yep.
know.
No,
Hurric-
it's the Raiders are going to
Yeah.
have a season.
They suck.
Whole thing sucks. Yeah.
Does it have to do with John Cena filming
Nope.
a movie in Europe
Nope.
next month? Okay.
It may have to do with like an upper respiratory thing.
Uh-oh.
Not COVID.
Oh,
Oh,
is SummerSlam going to get shut down?
Delta?
Oh, no. Oh, my
Delta
God.
variant?
The Summerfest?
It's going to
Everything. Almost everything, I think.
Oh, no.
Hold on. Hold, we have someone.
Oh, who do we got?
Ooh, wait.
Arnold!
Oh, I have a treat ski. Oh, it's Juicy Pear. What?
Juicy Pear. Look at that.
It's Juicy Pear.
That's
Oh,
great.
I love Juicy Pear. I've been meaning to bring this pop into the office.
Ooh, what is that?
My Captain America is black.
Very nice.
I ain't care nothing about this white bread Steve Rogers. How about you give me this one? I'm sorry, Alex Trebek. Alex Trebek, you're coming out of the center square, buddy.
Oh, no.
You can't do that. Hold on.
I
Hold
can.
on. Hold on.
Oh,
He
no.
just passed away a few months ago. Give him some time to cook a little bit.
Time to cook.
He's not in hell.
Cook.
No, I don't mean. I mean hell. I just mean like cook on your shelf, not so much cook. You know what I mean.
He's fine. Captain America lives.
All right. All
I'm
right.
with you. Okay.
But Juicy, so is that your
That's what you
favorite-
deserve.
Is that
The
your
ghost
favorite?
of Trebek knocked the duck off.
Is that your favorite Rita's flavor, Tim? The Juicy Pear?
It is. I love Juicy Pear.
Okay.
What is being disrespected?
Matt?
Stay.
Matt, what is your favorite Rita's flavor?
I would say it's probably the mango.
All right, that's solid. EJ,
Never had it before. Rita's? Never had it before. Nope.
you don't have that in Florida?
No, I'm sure they do. Just never had it.
Oh man, well you got to find one and get back.
I'm lame. What can I tell you?
Report back to us. Ryan, do you have one?
That's a silly question.
What?
Do you want to guess which one it is?
Let me guess. Cherry.
No, that would be my second favorite.
Root beer?
It is root beer. Yes.
Oh,
There was a
God.
ranking.
Ew.
Yes, it is root beer, and I will always get a gelato with the ice and make a root beer float.
Let me guess. With vanilla, of course.
What moron would get a root beer float with chocolate ice cream?
Well, I mean, just everything. I would just assume every.
Root beer's on my list.
Root beer.
I also enjoy the Swedish fish flavor as
The
well.
Swedish fish. What is? They still make that, or was that like a 1 year off thing?
No, it's still there.
That was real good.
Devin goes root beer. So Ryan, you and Devin.
I'm surprised you could spell root beer.
Like twins.
I love you, Devin.
Cousin Brian,
tastes just
it's
like
a
a
wild
beer.
black cherry.
I
He
love pears. I couldn't imagine. Ew, miss those shakes. Get the
He
fuck
just
out of here with that.
Yeah, come on.
Just get a gelato and mix it up yourself.
My favorite. Oh, we got another little guest.
What's up, buddy?
It's bedtime. See?
It's running.
You called it. We got the
Bye,
run.
buddy. Love you, bud.
My favorite is the Florida Orange. and I will do
Florida
the
orange.
gelato with the chocolate custard.
Oh,
No, it's
Chocolate covered
fantastic.
orange.
It is fantastic.
Next, you're gonna tell me you can't wait for Christmas to get one of those gross ass orange chocolate balls.
What?
You're probably the kind of guy that enjoys doing the dishes at Thanksgiving.
You know, you're gonna just.
That was good, Matt. That was good.
Look,
Okay,
man,
I'm gonna get-
everybody else is busy having a dance party at the Hottenstein Estate.
Look, like I said, man, somebody's got to do them dishes. Okay, they got to get done.
How?
It don't wash itself.
Look,
Have you come in last place in every mock draft we've done?
Probably.
No,
I think it's just
I came in last during Halloween. Or no, which one was it? I think it was the Halloween candy one that
Yeah,
I came in
which is-
last place.
which is bullshit because I feel like Mark's candies were just a conglomeration of the worst.
Whatchamacallits.
He took the whatchamacallit with the
Call-
first
first
overall
over-
pick.
Right? Like who does that? Like,
And put the Wonka bar on.
right? Like
We should have just
Wonka-
disqualified him.
We should have, but
He's just the intern.
And
bu-
instead,
no,
he
buys
wins.
coats at Roots. He buys them.
Yeah.
He goes out there, and that's what he does with all those goddamn 50-cent pieces from the damn sub place. He goes makes it rain down at Roots, and then
He has a currency more valuable than 50-cent pieces, Big Jim.
What's that?
He has an unlimited supply of tickets from Hershey Park.
Well, there you go.
He is trading all of those tickets in because he's already bought one of everything. He Dalai Lama'd himself at the thing. He got one with everything. And now he's got about 7 billion tickets left. And he's trading it to these Amish people like it's their one-way ticket to heaven. And boy. Yeah.
So are they gonna so the WWE is breaking out of the Thunderdome next week?
Yep.
Are they gonna be right back in a month?
Well, it's just Vegas.
Okay. Because
It's Vegas.
just a cesspool of disease, I would assume.
Build a wall.
All right, let's talk about AEW before we get to the wrestler of the week.
Yeah, we better get this out of the way quick.
I'm sure Jim will love to.
AEW back on the road in Miami last night. Now, EJ, you were there. So you have a very different perspective than us watching it just on TV. We can start with you. What was the experience, the crowd, all of that? First night back, first night of wrestling in an arena since March of 2020.
Let me just say for me, for the record, this is my personal first wrestling show in 22 years. The last show I went to was Armageddon 1999.
Wow.
December 1999. You remember, guys, I started watching wrestling for 17 years. The current product, rather.
That's true.
From 2002 to 2019.
Right.
So
You
I got back to it 2 years ago.
Event tapes onion skin thin, but
Yeah, that too. Coliseum video, you name it, the whole nine. No.
What brought you back to watching professional
I
wrestling?
gotta be
2
honest
years
with you,
ago?
dude. Honestly, it's the amount of podcasts I listen to. You know, the Conrad Thompson podcast that started back in 2016, 2017, listening to the old stories and stuff, and then you hear a little bit of the new guys like the AJ Styles and the Roman Reigns, and then my co-host on Take the Wrestling, shout out to Joe and Mike, of course. You gotta get back into it. It's still pretty good. Eventually, I caved and did it, and I, naturally just got back into it. And
We've all made that mistake.
Yeah.
Or you just stay in the whole time.
Yeah, this is like my third installment in my lifetime doing this. I've had like way ebbs and flows of wrestling fandom, as a kid, Hulkamania era, got back into it like when NWO came back and through the Attitude era, and then now.
Do you mind if I ask your age?
41.
Okay.
He's close.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, because if I'm being honest, so I'm 34.
Okay.
And as I've gotten older,
You're such a baby.
I am a baby. That's
Aw.
why I keep all this chin fur on. So if I don't, I just look like a giant bee stung baby.
Talk about
So-
baby Huey.
I know, right?
Baby.
I mean, Big Jim over here wishing a happy birthday to one of the 3 vaulters. That's really cute.
Not the one my wife's into, though.
Yeah, I know. But as I've gotten older, I found it to be more and more difficult to stay a fan.
Really?
Yeah, because so as a fan, and I promise we'll get to AEW, but it's like as I've gotten older, I know I'm doing
Jim
you a
is
favor.
loving this shit for the record. Jim is loving this shit.
I know. He's like,
we have to talk about that show
I know.
better.
Well, we got to talk about a WWE guy that's gone because that's the only thing you're talking about.
Remind me.
I got
Two of you guys.
I know, right? But as I've gotten older, I've cared more and more about how people are outside of wrestling or outside of their profession. Where it's like the prime example I always think about is like Kanye West. I've always found Kanye West to be like a super talented artist, but he has gone more and more kooky and more like problematic, which his problematicness takes me out of how talented he is. The same with like Hulk Hogan now in the WWE or Jackson Riker or Drake Wirtz. You hear about all these outside things that have nothing to do with wrestling, but have to do with the person. And you see how a company like WWE handles problematic people and keeps them on payroll and does things. And they do what some would say are questionable things. And it's just, I focus more on like that stuff and it pulls me away from what actually happens on television and what actually happens in the events.
I can understand that.
And yeah, part of me wishes that I could just be a kid again and just like blindly watch what it's on TV and not know that like Riddle has a past that's not so far behind, or know that Jackson Reichert is not so much of a person who I'd like to have a drink with.
Right.
You know, and
well, Jackson Riker spells his name with what, 3 Ks, right? R-I-K-K-K-E-R.
Yeah. But like, and that's not to say I don't, because this conversation can easily break into I want everything homogenized and everyone has to believe the same thing. That's not what I'm saying. Like there are differing.
What you're saying.
There's a difference.
I get what you're saying, though. Like,
I mean, I hate to be this guy, but it also sounds like you're not naming folks that go an extreme left route and are vocal with what they have to say on the left side.
You give me an
if we're going
political, of course, yeah.
If we're speaking politically,
right?
I'm not even talking about.
And I feel like Jackson Riker tweets 1 or 2 things, and again, I'm not defending the guy. I don't like the guy myself, but tweets some things about a support of Donald Trump, and a mega platform, and that gets blown up much more than somebody like a Mick Foley would have tweeted about the left side of things. And people just are okay with that then. And I get that's where we're on. I'm fine with that. But I feel like if you're upset with somebody that tweets about the right, and that's like your reason for not liking that person because they brought politics into it, shouldn't what's good for the goose good for the gander?
I'm cool with you bringing politics into things because people are people. My problem is the connection with the politics to the hate. And
that's fair. I can expect
the tie that connects a Trumpublican to other things.
Don't
up
be
and
rude.
down the line. And
is that why you didn't bring Sasha Banks into this? Because it wasn't necessarily a Trump stance, but more of an anti-vax stance?
I mean, her too.
Or okay, her too. Okay.
Yeah, I'm naming like the higher, like the ones that people know off the top of their head as like super problematic. But even Sasha Banks to a degree, I'm less of a fan of her for just like the news not the news, but the stuff coming out about her, like the throwing a fit backstage and the temper tantrums and all of the stuff from the WrestleMania side. It's like, I shouldn't care what happened backstage.
I think the problem is too also is the era we're in too. We are in the era of information.
Yep.
You know, all this shit that Sasha Banks has been doing the last couple of years, that was Shawn Michaels 20 years ago. Shawn Michaels is still arguably the greatest in-ring wrestler in the history of the business.
That's a great point.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where we're now privy to more information, so we have to either adjust or just deal with how it may go. I mean, it is what it is at this point, man.
And I agree. Like, if there's things that somebody is doing, you don't have to support them and show support financially or back or cheer them. I totally understand that. I wasn't calling into question. I was just checking if it was strictly a politics thing or like a politics that lands on the side of hate and insurrection.
Well,
and things of that nature.
You had mentioned Riddle as well, which you know, Riddle's background is
sure. You can bring Riddle. You can bring the Velveteen Dream. A lot of redacted names.
There's those.
Yes,
Justin Roberts. There's people who have, you know, questionable pasts, not from a political side.
That's
so
fair.
yeah.
That's a great point.
I get where Tim is coming from for sure.
Not to elongate it too. Also, it comes down to really just, you know, a lot of these are allegations too. We don't know if these are true or not. Also, some of these things are true, some of these are not true. So you have to kind of separate. Okay, these are things we're hearing now. Allegations, are these actually true? Let's investigate and all this kind of thing. But some of these things, you know, we hear, are, you know, the Jackson Riker thing. Obviously, the things he said on Twitter, obviously not to our liking. You know, then we can adjust accordingly.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
I don't know if we're going to talk about this, but while we're oh, that's badass what Lee just put up.
Yeah, Lee checked in. Lady Frost lost to Deonna Purrazzo. We also have breaking news as well.
Lady Frost.
Gail Kim made her return to Impact tonight, confronting Deonna Purrazzo and letting her know that she will defend the Impact Knockouts Championship next weekend at Slammiversary against a mystery opponent. So a mystery opponent next weekend at Slammiversary for Deonna Purrazzo.
All right, I'm gonna speculate here.
I love speculations.
And this kind of goes into the conversation about AEW.
Okay.
So AEW, this guy, people know him, shows up on TV 60 days early.
I know this is going.
Malachi Black.
Oh, that guy. Aleister Black. Yes.
Malachi Black. Tommy and Aleister Black. Shows up on TV 60 days early due to a clerical error with WWE saying that he's still an NXT performer and not a WWE performer.
Videos.
I wonder if Ruby Riott is also on that list of NXT performers who aren't clerically clear or who are clerically cleared, because she also just changed her name on Twitter to, what did she change it to?
Oh, not Heidi Lovelace?
No, she's got a different name now.
Oh, man, that's a bummer.
I mean,
Ruby Soho.
Okay.
All right.
I could live with that. That's actually a pretty cool name.
Ruby Soho.
See, my first thought was Mickie James as a way to help spike interest for the
Empower
the NWA women's pay-per-view, but man, I didn't even think of the Ruby Riott angle. That's a great point.
My first thought I jumped to was Awesome Kong, who just got released from AEW, and it would be a huge return to Impact Wrestling.
It's a good one.
Very much so.
But back to Dynamite last night. But yeah, EJ, the crowd, the atmosphere, obviously smaller venue, but looked pretty full. Your thoughts on the show? We'll start with you.
Obviously, a smaller venue. He has to say,
Yeah.
"You're
Well, I mean-
unbelievable,
I
Jim.
mean-
You're
I mean,
you
I-
just can't let it be."
What's funny?
Obviously, a smaller.
Ryan, what's
this
funny though is
school gymnasium that AEW ran out of.
But Ryan, the fucked up part is on my show, Take 3. I'm the AEW mark, supposedly anyway. But whatever. No, that crowd. I mean, I'm talking about obviously they've been doing crowds for a good few months now because of Daly's Place being opened up.
Yeah.
But taking it out of Daly's Place, that crowd was fucking hype. I mean, from the word go, even the dark matches. Because remember, you had the dark matches in the beginning and the end of Dynamite. I stayed through the whole entire thing. The crowd was hype from the word go. I mean, they're just excited. And I mean, obviously the reveal of Malachi Black. I mean, it was everything you saw on TV, which by the way I watched the playback today, was even 10 times louder for Malachi. And we were stunned. And again, this kind of brought me back to which we'll talk about later on the show about the NWO and the surprise factor and not having the surprise factor wrestling anymore because again, we are now in an information age where everything's out there, dirt sheets, all these wrestling journalists, Meltzer, you name it, Sean Ross, are telling you everything beforehand. Nobody knew Malachi Black was going to show up.
I had honestly seen a report earlier in the evening that he was backstage, but
did you?
Yeah, I think I forget who it was really reported it, but I didn't expect him on screen because
90 days.
The only clue we had was and Jim, I think I sent it to you during the show. The little vignette he did on YouTube, 5-minute video he did changing his name to Malachi Black.
Yeah, and Blue Me.
To me, that is even more of a reason why I didn't think he was going to show up on Dynamite.
Right.
Because that's something that's like, okay, we're starting the push for 60 days of creative to get to the big debut of Malachi Black. By the way, hidden highlight, Josiah Williams in that video. He's the doctor.
Oh, that's him. Okay, thank you.
That's Josiah Williams, who's recently released. Yeah. But I also love the hidden highlight in Dynamite, which I don't think a lot of people might have caught, but the random blackout during the strap match.
Yes.
That comes back on Cody later in the night.
Yes.
Well, what's funny is
very subtle.
I had gotten home. Yes, Big Jim actually went to an 8 at a restaurant last night, so that was big news. But I by the time I got home, it was about halfway through Dynamite, so I'm like, you know what?
Perfect time to start.
I'm just going to start halfway, and then I'll catch up the first half of the show tomorrow. So I when I started, it was the Britt Baker and Reba backstage interview,
right?
And then so you had the blackout, and Malachi makes his debut, and then I'm watching back this morning, and there was the blackout during Cody's match, and I was like, wow,
it was quick
makes so much sense. So if you're watching it in real time, you're like, what the hell's going on? So the way I watched it, it made sense immediately.
The entire crowd there was like stunned. Mike and I were talking during it was like, that's gotta be work. That can't be real. That's gonna be work. And then we were discussing it between us and our wives. Is it real? Is it not real? And then it happened again. And I was like, holy shit, this is weird.
Yeah. So that's
do moments like that for you, EJ, kind of to what Tim had said about knowing what we know works, things like that. Does something that make you think, ooh, that's probably a work? Does that take anything away from you and the presentation of the show?
No, I think it's great. I think it adds to the flavor of the show. I'm okay with that. I mean, you're here to entertain, and to me, it had us for a good hour figure out what the fuck was that all about.
Right.
And then and we thought about it. It was in the back of our heads. And then they did it again, and it was actually a little longer. It's like, and then I kind of saw someone running through the ramp. I was like, no, this is definitely a work. Didn't know it was fucking Tommy Yen, though.
Sure.
The entire crowd went ballistic. I mean, it was loud.
I feel like those moments, it's not much different than when you're watching a TV show and you're trying to predict what happens next, or if there's a cliffhanger in a show, you try and figure out what the cliffhanger is about.
Right.
Like, because we know, this is a show. This, it's you predetermined stuff like that. I think that's just part of the game at this point.
Right.
Obviously, when you're younger and you don't know that part of the business, it's different. But for us, I think it's no different than, you know, when there's a cliffhanger at the end of a season of a show and you try and figure out what that meant or what's going to happen next, sort of a thing.
Of course, it's just nice to have, because it's so rare now to have surprises anymore. That's why that's why I took it in so much. It's like, you don't get this anymore. This is nice to have a surprise, a genuine surprise. No one knew about this. That's
and really, kudos to AEW. I think the last big surprise would have been Sting showing up at AEW again. That was a much more controlled environment at Daly's place where they can control all of the parts. So to be on the road and be able to pop a surprise like that the first night back in front of a live crowd on the road, kudos to the AEW for pulling that off.
And I'm surprised they did it, because from all accounts, hearing how it was discussed when Sting debuted, that TNT did not like that Sting was a surprise.
Really? Oh, really? I didn't know that.
TNT, Cody went on that AEW podcast with Tony and Aubrey Edwards, unrestricted. And when Sting just randomly debuted, TNT was like, hey, this is cool, but don't do this again. Which is why the Big Show was announced before debuting, so they could promote that the Big Show was going to be on TV. And
you pop the surprise, you promote, you hear from them next week. That's how you bring people in. It's just a week difference. I don't see
why
TNT would not understand the business of that aspect of it.
I can also understand why, like, you'd want to promote Sting.
I think that's the same reason why, you know, WWE will announce, you know, a legend spot for next week or whatever, because USA's like, hey, tell the people they're going to be here so more people tune in. But I think from our perspective, I feel like if, especially in the social media world, if The Rock randomly shows up on Monday Night Raw, like the one time he did in Brooklyn, everybody starts tweeting about it. That's going to get people who are on social media to jump over to Raw if they want to see why is The Rock randomly.
Right, that'll pop the ratings for that hour.
Yeah. So,
and again, a one-off spot is so different than a contracted wrestler who's appeared on multiple.
Right.
You know, if you're just doing Sting as one surprise, then yeah, advertise it. Sting shows up. But if Sting's going to show up and then show up immediately the following week, you know, you get the cutover tweets and people tuning in, and then you get people following up the next week to see what Sting's going to say, and he'll say like 15 words and be like, that didn't hit.
Right. And another thing too is that we talk about the metric everyone talks about wrestling is the ratings, and the ratings are so important and whatever, but social media impressions are, if not a close second, tied for first.
Sure.
And having something be surprising,
right,
and make people immediately tweet and push a hashtag and do something, impressions go up, it cultivates more of an audience, and it brings in the next week.
I know a certain someone who argues about that. Ratings don't matter. And yeah, so ratings somewhat matter, but impressions matter too, because that's the extra stream revenue.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, now granted, this week, because ratings versus impressions, this like that, ratings for AEW actually went down from last week to this week. Now, granted, you're coming off a holiday weekend, Stanley Cup Finals. You know, I think a lot of people probably take vacations this week. Like
Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, Matthew,
get Jim started, man.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's different things right now that are taking eyes off of a weekly product versus something that is something that's going to come to an end possibly that day. Right. So AEW's overnight rating was down this week from last week, which you would think, okay, back in an arena, stuff like that, rating might pop. People might think that you know,
down 12,000
Right, slightly. So it's the same
Flip.
as it was last week.
Which
wasn't-
actually, Tim, Matt, you laugh, but that was the audience
That was
for the Stanley
audience.
Cup.
Yep. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
But
Jim,
And
real
the
quick.
other-
This isn't the take three. Or I'm sorry, the huddle up. I'm so fucking the huddle up. But why is everybody upset that Tampa won? Other than they won last year, did they do some shisty shit that everybody's like, "Meh, Tampa Bay"?
they basically avoided the salary cap this year. Because they had players who were hurt but actually had gotten healthy during the season. They didn't bring them back into the playoffs because in the NHL, there's basically no salary cap in the postseason.
So they played within the
wrote 'em-
rules.
Yeah, but it.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, is that something you think
Loophole.
would change
I think it probably will.
for
have
next
to.
year or whatever? Okay.
Or the next whatever the next.
So if a player's on IR, their salary doesn't count.
Correct. Doesn't
They
count.
come back during the playoffs, and then that doesn't matter. All bets
Right
are
once
off.
the playoffs start.
That's a crazy loophole.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Can I just say real
I
quick
would
though?
s-
Go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No,
I
I'm
was
saying.
gonna make a smart.
Can I just say though, ratings do somewhat matter, but at this point in 2021, they are overrated. I watch AEW religiously. I watch Raw, SmackDown, and NXT religiously. I don't watch any of those shows live. Any of them. I watch them the next day on Hulu. I watch them either on YouTube or whatever. I don't watch any of those shows live. And I guarantee you a good portion of the audience don't either because they can.
And that's
Yeah,
and there's
and
different.
that was kind of my point too. Like this week, especially like when you're coming out of a holiday week, summertime, people are generally busier. People are on vacation, stuff like
Right.
that. So the rating basically stayed the same week to week. I thought it would have went up. I think a lot of people thought their number was going to jump this week, but the Malachi Black debut has almost as many views on YouTube as AEW Dynamite did last night. So if you're AEW, you're sitting there going, you know what? It balances out. And the number of, again, social media impressions, stuff
Right.
like that. Those are all revenue forms for
So
these.
Raw was 1.3 million this week, right? That was the number that came out, the new low, apparently.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so I went on YouTube today. I watched the highlights on YouTube. The tag match between New Day versus Bobby Lashley.
Correct.
That's right. And MVP. That has 1 million views already 3 days after.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That alone. The other matches have like 400,000, 600,000, 800,000. So again, this idea of ratings being the be all end all. We are not in 1998 anymore.
Right.
Okay, streaming era. Get over it. The social media matters now.
Right. And the thing that gets a lot, I saw somebody tweet about how Raw this week was still the most watched cable program on Monday. So I'm like, yeah, so it was their lowest number. It was also the highest. So people are like, well, why doesn't USA care more? Well, it's still the most watched thing on cable on the
moneymaker
4th of July weekend. So why are they're probably not concerned if they're still at the top. It's just viewership's changed, and like you said, YouTube streaming, all of that. The dynamic has changed. I'm sure somebody's not thrilled with the fact that it was the lowest Raw number ever.
There's also other ratings, though,
Mhm.
like television ratings. We're looking at the overnights. So we're looking at the people who actually watch from 8 to 11 Eastern
Correct.
for a specific time.
Correct.
There's post 72 hour rating, which gets added to your overnight rating. There's a 7-day rating, I think. And they also account for views on streaming platforms. So your Hulu replays, your
What the hell does that mean, Brian? Maybe I don't want to know, but Cousin Brian's got to go.
He probably had Moe's tonight for dinner. It makes sense.
Rewipe.
Yeah. Welcome to Moe's. So there's different numbers, and what's sad is that we're instant gratification people, so we want the quick, fast numbers.
Sure.
We're not taking into account the other metrics that USA Network sees or that Fox sees.
Are we quick, fast people, or are the Dave Meltzers of the world quick, fast people because it often fits the narrative that they want to
Just going to say that. Because while I agree,
we as
Right.
as the internet wrestling community
Okay.
together, like
And
We
the Brian
all believe
Alvarez's, like these are the guys that want to release those numbers, and I've never seen updated numbers from a 7-day out or the 72-hour numbers.
They got an
and
agenda,
I get
though. They got agendas.
as a news, but as news
with a Z
or news with an S. First, so for example, if something happens on Monday and you report on it Monday night or Tuesday, it goes in the A block of the news. But if there's a follow-up to that on Thursday, it doesn't lead the show. It's an also ran in the D block. Like it's our news. When we do news here, we don't cover news from the week to start our show. It's the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes of our show. Because everybody else has already heard about it.
It's a half hour after Ryan stopped paying attention to anything
the news
on the show.
The news people care about is how did Raw do overnight? The news is not how did Raw do?
Right.
And
well, I feel like the past 4 or 5 Raws have been really good and building towards something solid. You can follow those tweets at 3 Count Thursday.
I said this week that I thought this week's Raw was not good.
You did say this week's Raw.
That was you, right? That was you.
That was all Jim.
The previous 2.
High five, Jim. Other side.
I thought that the previous 2 weeks were really good and seemed focused. This week, I felt like I was watching a repeat of 3 weeks ago, for the most part.
Yeah, I can see
and
that.
I expect next week's to be even worse because next week's was taped Tuesday. It's pre-taped from the Thunderdome, so I expect next week is going to be even. Yeah, I expect next week's is going to be even worse. And it's sad because it's the go home Raw to Money in the Bank, but it's I think it's going to be even worse than this week.
Yikes!
They're just trying to hold the fort down until they get the live shows.
Exactly.
Once the live shows, then we're all bases covered. Let's go.
Don't worry. It's only going to be a matter of time before Bronson Reed and Karrion Kross get called up, so we have more people on the roster to fight each other. Man,
that's strike one.
Yeah,
real quick before you get to the AEW topic, quick. Besides Malachi Black being getting biggest pop, the other biggest pop of the night, it's time. Hangman Page, Rocket Ship. Let's go. It's time. It's overdue. His pop is huge.
I think All Out. I think is because they don't have an actual pay-per-view, right? I think the next
All Out's August.
I think the next 14 weeks of Dynamite all have different names, but All Out is the next actual pay-per-view.
Late August, yeah, correct.
So I think that's your spot. I think that's where you move the title. It's got to be Page. If you don't do it now, why are we even here?
Is 14 weeks too long?
That's
I mean, think about even in the WWE when everybody was like, "Oh,
it's not 14 weeks.
Braun Strowman,
7 weeks."
No,
is it
7 weeks?
I was just 7. No, you said a number. I
was just making a joke that.
Oh, you were the host. My apologies.
Last night and the next 4
I
weeks,
wouldn't have assumed you would have done that.
Different catchy names to them.
Okay, that's
none
fair.
of them are paper.
14 weeks.
It's 9 weeks.
9 weeks.
9 weeks. Okay, so somewhere between 7 and 14. That's how the math works.
Split the baby.
No, doesn't sound great.
That's a magic trick.
Plus, a lot of people are shitting on Omega's title reign anyway too. A lot of people like Omega right now.
I think he's more palatable right now with Don Callis as his manager than he's ever been.
Right.
Kenny Omega's not a promo guy. Nope.
Well, that's true.
Goodbye, good night, boing.
Let's talk about promos for a second. And what I thought was a terrific promo last night from the MMA dude from, I forget what the thing was, that Jim decided to not enjoy.
Jake Hager?
No, not
undefeated
Jake
MMA
Hager.
Jake Hager?
No, he is a fantastic MMA dude. But the old guy, who I didn't know what it was. I thought it was Adam Lavelle in the ring for a minute.
Dan Severn? I don't know.
No. Did you watch AEW?
I watched some of it.
Steve Blackman? Was he there?
I was going to say that.
No, he's the lethal weapon. We're close. You know what? Fuck it. Never mind. I watch a show and when I talk about topics and nobody else fucking
Who
does.
is it?
You know what?
Who was that dude that was sitting with Amanda Nunez and the MMA guy?
Jorge Masvidal?
War games.
War games.
War games.
Oh,
War
fuck.
games.
I didn't hear it, Ryan, for the love of God.
War games! War games! War games! War games!
Yeah, that Lambert fella. Lambert.
Thanks,
the
Lee.
founder
Yes.
Of
Randall
American
Lambert.
Top Team. Thanks
Thanks,
you,
Lee.
Lee.
Yes, country
Um,
music star Miranda Lambert was there.
First off, I like
Sure.
like I had no clue why like random MMA dude that was just in the crowd is now in the ring.
He said the reason he was there though.
Squealing and squawking at
He
me.
was invited to come.
Right,
And he was invited to bring
come and-
Amanda Nunez and the other top MMA guy.
Right.
Jorge Masvidal.
Why
No
did
way.
he take a microphone and then security let him through the barricade into the ring and then he
Because Tony Schiavone let him take the microphone. Tony Schiavone has very weak fingers.
and then
This is
he
well documented, Jim.
and Matt, I'm gonna borrow your term for a minute. He honked at me for the next 12 minutes from the middle of the ring on an already jam-packed show, only
In
for
a-
Lance
in a-
Archer to come
a-
out and smack him in the face a few times and then walk
And
away.
then do the flippy do bomb.
Yeah, that thing.
By the way,
Cool.
Jim has got another Ryan classic possible soundbite. Just
Oh,
missed
yeah.
it.
I must have missed it.
What did I say?
He was ready to come.
Oh,
Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Oops.
Mark it down. Mark it down.
In what context did I say that?
Well,
Doesn't
he said
matter.
because he's ready to come.
Doesn't matter if we have our next shirt.
No, that's fine. I would like to know what the context was because I'm not listening back to this fucking show. I've got much better things to do.
No,
Let me
you
be totally honest about
Lying
that.
to the people. You have nothing better to do.
I will take a nap. I will fucking I would take a walk over having to listen to this goddamn show for 2
I have this
hours.
show on my headphones at 11 p.m. tonight.
There we go.
I will fall right asleep to that. I will not get out of on this day. I will hear the first Alter Bridge song and be sound asleep.
Dead.
That was great.
But I mean, good. Lance Archer has his next feud. A 70-year-old guy who started.
Oh,
an
you're
MMA
so
career.
fucking salty.
That's awesome.
I wish there were
I'm not
sound
salty.
effects
I
you
just
didn't like.
I just didn't like the segment. That's all.
Yeah,
Everybody's praising the promo, and I just why is this guy
The
squawking?
guy
at me?
said everything you say every single week on this
Yeah,
podcast.
he was Big
Jim.
Jim, and he was kind of Big Jimish.
AEW is supposed to be the alternate. AEW is real wrestling. AEW is this.
I
And
couldn't
I'm not
hear
seeing
but I
any of
just heard
that.
for
God,
10
it's not like
minutes.
Nikki
All I
Bella
heard.
was on the mic.
Well, there was star power there last night, and Amanda Nunez was there too. So
Yeah, they're fighter people.
But you can't touch.
Oh, you stopped it.
I did. You can keep dancing though. All you want.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah, Devin here said, yeah, I mean, like, if you're in a wrestling crowd, stop jumping the barricade.
Okay, so Devin says, I will not talk about it, and then directly talks about it.
typical wrestling fan.
No, absolutely. You
If you're in a
stay on
wrestling
your side
crowd-
of the barricade. Let the boys and girls that are doing what they're doing stay on
And
theirs.
also, I mean, I know Jericho, he got a little bit of a shot in. I wish he would have gotten more of a shot in on the guy. Like, if you come across that line, wrestlers should be allowed to kick your ass. I'm sorry. Anybody, whether it's a football game, baseball, any of it. If you break that threshold, they should be allowed to beat your ass.
By the way, the best part of the whole thing
yeah.
was MGF's reaction to that after. That fucking one line was great.
I think they both handled that really well. And to the fact that Jericho's like, I should have let him come in here and beat your ass. Like, that's what I should have done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because Jericho was the guy that took the swing. So it was great to see professionals. Hi, William. I have a fan, I guess. Do you have the sausage t-shirt? Whatamaneuver.net. Go buy one. Professionals doing what they can and being able to respond quickly. Was that a sound effect? I didn't hear it.
It was.
Sausage guy. It's enormous. That doesn't even sound like me.
It does.
It doesn't.
Take a shot in the mouth.
That one.
You know,
does.
by the way, we're 1 hour into the show. I've not heard one Shane McMahon reference yet.
There was.
There it was.
If I can fucking find it, there it is.
The best in the world. Shane McMahon.
Jim, that one sounded longer than anyone I've heard before.
But
In fact, I'd love for you to edit
yeah, it
it
was a little longer. Yeah.
somehow to double the Shane McMahon part.
I'll give that a try. I'll give that a try.
By the way, Greg Hamilton, right? That was Greg Hamilton. Right?
Yeah, it's Greg Hamilton.
He's fantastic. I'm one of the biggest Howard Finkel stands ever, but Greg Hamilton's amazing. The same.
Absolutely. But moment of the night. Besides,
I wonder what happens if you say McMahon Shane.
I don't have it. Do you want me to make that?
Is that reverse war? Is that reverse war games?
You don't have to. Oh, reverse.
War games! War games! War games! War games!
I guess Jim does not have a McMahon Shane sounder. That's fine.
I don't. I can try to put that together. But
unnecessary.
See, the good thing of me as a guest of the show, though, is that I know all the quirks of the show already, so I just kind of know what. I'm ready for those quirks ready.
Appreciate that.
You keep this up. I hope your flight's delayed. Keep it
up. Besides Malachi Black's debut, unless that wasn't the moment of the night for you, that was for me. What's up there with you for the first show back in an arena?
Who we starting with?
Let's start with you.
Sure, we'll start with me. Our hero, Cody Rhodes, beating QT Marshall in a strap match to start off Dynamite. That's my moment of the night. The 3-star general back at it again, doing the Lord's work, dressed like a Confederate soldier. He's my Yankee Doodle dandy. Cody Rhodes, baby, thinking he's Sting in the middle of the ring, doing the chest pounding with his blonde hair, beating him up, going to the White Castle of Fear. Nope. It's Malachi Black kicking Arn Anderson into next century and then doing Cody the same.
Yeah, wait till Cody wins that feud. That's going to be a really great moment.
That would piss me the fuck off, man.
I will quit the business.
Matt, do you have a moment of the night besides Malachi Black?
I'll get to that when we do our wrestlers of the week.
Ooh, a little board.
We still have that on the board.
EJ, since you were there.
Well, obviously, besides Malachi, and I guess Hangman, coming out, of course, and I like how they're doing this. Hopefully, continue doing this. I mean, we all assumed that was it All Out? It's All Out, right? Name of the. I could get mixed up. All In or All Out.
Yeah, it's All Out now.
All Out.
All In was the pre AEW.
Oh, yeah, All In is an ROH entity.
Thank you. Let this Hangman Omega thing continue to cook slowly. Tell a story. There's a lot there, and next week on Fighter Fest, Hangman's going to talk finally and respond to it. That was the best highlight of the for me, honestly. The reaction to Hangman. And the Young Bucks. Honest, I'm not a big Young Bucks guy. They got a lot of go-away heat, but that fucking match with them and Kingston and Penta was amazing. Some of those bumps though was sick.
Yes, Ryan. Do you have a moment?
I'm so glad you've asked. I have to agree with what EJ said there at the end. I think that Young Bucks. Penta main event that was so good. That was such a fun match to have back. I feel like I don't want to take things away if anybody had put them on lists or wants to talk about it later, so I will just say I think the Young Bucks did everything the Young Bucks are supposed to do from their entrance and attire, and I loved every single minute of it. I loved it even more knowing that Jim was hating every single minute of it.
Fucking tassels
made me love it so much more. I mean, from their George, I loved everything about what the Young Bucks did last night. So the Young Bucks are definitely. Hi boys. Would be my next thing. Obviously, after Tommy End.
I think for me, just seeing wrestling in a different venue for the first time. I mean, obviously besides WrestleMania. But for the first time since March of last year, like just seeing it in arena, it was strange at first. I mean, it was like when sports started putting fans back in the building and really to a larger crowd, a more packed crowd. It was because we had gotten used to seeing empty backstops in baseball and empty arenas in basketball and the NHL and in the NFL and. You're seeing people back, and that's how we always were used to watching it. But now we've gotten so used to tuning in every week or whatever and seeing an empty crowd, or for AEW the stage, or WWE obviously Performance Center or the Thunderdome, and now you're seeing it as we remember it, but it's like, wow, this is very different, and readjusting to where the spotlights are, and a ramp, and hard cams are different, and everything looks different, and it was just cool. It was just cool to see wrestling in that form again. So that was kind of my number 2 from the night.
This week's SmackDown is the last SmackDown.
Last SmackDown in the Thunderdome.
Okay.
Tomorrow. Last Raw pre-tape. Next Friday night, WWE hits the road.
Thank
God. Friday's so technically Friday's the first live show, not the Money in the Bank.
Yes, next Friday SmackDown is the first live show, and then Money in the Bank.
And is that the one in Cleveland that they're double dipping with the festival thingy in Florida?
That's in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's in a couple. Okay.
A couple of weeks from now. I think SmackDown next week is in Houston.
Correct.
And then Money in the Bank is in like Corpus Christi or Austin or something, and then Raw's in one of those as well. So let's pause here, and we'll hear from our networks, and when we come back, we'll talk Wrestler of the Week, we'll talk NWO anniversary, and more. Stick with us. 3 Count Thursday live.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Are you looking for a place to listen to your favorite music and sports? Look no further. WLSN, the Lieb Sports and Music Network, is a web-based music and sports network. Our network was created to provide authentic, high-energy entertainment through live streaming to a national audience. We play popular music while hosting podcasts from all over the world. Curious? Check us out on the web at liebsports.com. That's LEEIB sports.com. Or find us on the TuneIn Radio app. Got Alexa? Just say, Alexa, play WLSN on TuneIn. WLSN is America's #1 blog-themed sports and music network.
Welcome back to 3 Count Thursday. We are live July the 8th, 2021. Yeah, Tim, I saw there during the break a Las Vegas news page said multiple major events in danger of being canceled because of the COVID outbreak in Las Vegas. So
that's my news.
We will obviously keep our eyes on that one because SummerSlam set to take place in Las Vegas coming up at the end of August. So maybe it'll be on the move, or we will try and keep our eyes peeled for the future of SummerSlam.
Speaking of breaking news, this is in boxing world. Tyson Fury tested positive with COVID, so the fight with him and Deontay Wilder has been postponed.
Oh shit! Okay,
is that a Vegas fight though? When is that fight taking place?
Yeah, that I don't know.
Okay,
is that a former WWE guy?
Yes.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes, he is.
T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada, July 24.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
and let's hope he stays a former WWE guy. For the record.
Yeah, I don't need him back in that. Well, he wasn't he supposed to have a feud with Braun Strowman? So
don't have to worry about that for now.
But
bye.
Not have to worry about. Somebody on the Indies is going to well overpay for that feud.
Didn't CM Punk, speaking of MMA, just have one of his losses erased from his
he's won his record now. 3 years after the fact because of a positive marijuana test.
Was it 0-1 now? 0-2?
Well, I guess he's
what was his record now?
Is it 1-1?
1-1, I think. He didn't.
Okay.
Who was his other loss? Mickey Gall, right? Is that the 1st one?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
that's
That one was a quick one.
That was the everybody. That was his first one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, A for effort. That's what I say.
Is it though?
I wouldn't have.
Remember when
my
everybody-
He tried it. It didn't work. Move on. You know what I'm
Remember
saying?
when everybody thought he was a tomato can, and everybody thought they were propping up Mickey Gall to lose to CM Punk, only for Mickey Gall to actually beat the dog out of CM Punk. It was great.
All right, let's.
There's a lesson there about not beating down verbally your opponent too much when promoing, because when you end up beating a piece of shit, you just beat a piece of shit. But if that piece of shit beats you, what does that make you?
Bigger
Dead.
piece of shit. All
I'm
right,
not a very good fighter. Is what it makes you.
That's exactly what it makes you.
let's do this.
Since John Moxley, Cesaro, way before Gargano, there was Savage and Roddy, and Saturdays on NBC. These five guys on Facebook are gonna take a hard look. Come Thursday brings to you the wrestler on the week.
All right, week number 13 into our standings. Would anybody like to go first this week? Tim got his hand raised. Tim, go ahead.
So, I will go 1 to 3.
Okay.
We're gonna lead off with my number 1 spot. The newly christened NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Io Shirai and Zoe Stark beating the way. Regardless of whether or not Tegan Knox had anything to do with it, it's still impressive. Title wins still matter, and good for Zoe Stark and Io Shirai as well. Number 2, the aforementioned from our last segment, Young Bucks picking up a hard-earned victory over Eddie Kingston and Penta El M in the street fight at was it Road Rager?
Correct.
I think that's what it was called.
Road Rager.
My number 3 is it is the salute to the independents, and there's actually an independent star, at least worthy of being talked about, at least in my eyes for now. Did you know that there's an independent wrestling promotion known as ICW, and they are a deathmatch promotion? And in that, there is a championship called the American Deathmatch Championship. And the holder of that title defended their title 3 times in 2 days. John Wayne Murdoch successfully defended his title over the 4th of July weekend, the 3rd and the 4th. 3 times, 2 days. That's a lot of death, folks. And so the Duke of Hardcore picking up my 3rd place option for this week.
Is that really his nickname?
John Wayne Murdoch, the Duke of Hardcore. Yes.
Love it.
Duke. That'd be a great. Somebody ought to cover that.
Somebody should do that.
Duke of Hardcore.
Anybody want to go next?
I could go next, I suppose.
Okay, go ahead.
Tim, I'm curious. When you said you're going to go 1 to 3, did you say 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3?
I
How did you went?
I went 1, 2, 3, but by getting from 1, 2, 3, you have to go 1, 2, 3.
Appreciate that
My head
clarification.
hurts now.
I will go
was
3,
math.
2, 1 by going 3, 2, 1. And with, I guess, without Mark here, I'll try to add a little bit of Markism so everybody can play along with that. So
Oh, boy.
my number 3 was Io Shirai and Zoe Deschanel. They are the new NXT Tag Team Women's Champions of the Ladies Division. My number 2 is Chris Jericho. I love this promo that he cut. I loved everything about that segment with him and MJF. I'm not sure there's many on the stick better than Chris Jericho, and that's going to be highlighted, I think, with their welcome back to the road in front of different live audiences every night. Chris Jericho can always play to a different crowd. The guy is an absolute performer. So he did a great promo. What was it? Stranger Danger, Road Rager, or something like that.
Road Rager.
Last night on the AEW. And then my number one would be Mariachi Black and his debut on AEW. Again, the 30-day, it's a great surprise. So for AEW to be able to hide a surprise like Tommy End, who the commentary knew who Tommy End was, but also knew who Malachi Black was, and made a, I guess, never really informed JR that it would be Malachi Black because he only called him Tommy End. But I feel like Excalibur did a really good job saying like that is Tommy Yen, but that's not the man who stands here today. So a little bit curious if you've not watched Tommy Yen's promo, but if you've watched the Instagram videos, it fills in a lot of the gaps for you. So Malachi Mariachi Black, my number one wrestler of the week.
Somebody just retweeted that GIF of when was that Ricky Morton went through the top and middle rope against X-Pac back in the day, or some random jobber that looked like he was part of the Rock and Roll Express when they leaped through and just went straight to the floor. Do you guys have any idea what I'm talking about?
Can you retweet it from our site, and then I will take a look at it?
Yeah, let's see. I'm retweeting it right now. It has been
This is the at 3 Count Thursday, which is where everybody should be following.
It is, and it's from the 90s WWE account. And it is still one of the most goddamn.
That is Chris Hambrick.
Okay, but it is just one of the most goddamn funny things in the entire world. Because I think he went. I assume he went to like springboard off the middle rope.
Nope. I feel like he's done that spot a couple times.
That is his spot.
Oh, he just does that.
Yeah. So what X-Pac kicks him, and he goes flying through.
Well,
that looks like Barry Hardy.
It cracks me up.
What a great!
Oh my
mullet.
god, I'm seeing it now.
It cracks me up every time.
Oh my god,
what a
Ooh, that's a tough spot. That's a flat back on those blue pads.
What a maneuver!
If y'all want to see another crazy bump, go back and watch the 2000 Royal Rumble. Kai and Tai. The through line is Kai and Tai keeps running in on the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
And the last time they come in, Taka Michinoku gets sent for like a 450 over the top rope and face plants on the floor.
Ooh, right on the face.
It's awesome.
Ooh, okay.
Because they show it like 5 times on
Yeah, they sure did.
All right. Matt, EJ, either you guys want to go next? You want me to go next?
Dude, this thing is sick. Okay, I guess I'm watching it.
I'll go next.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. No. It's totally fine. I'll go next with my 3. I'll start at number 3, Malachi Black making his debut in AEW. Surprise debut that nobody saw coming. Like everybody said, it's hard to make surprises in wrestling anymore right now. My number 2 is Kevin Owens qualifying for Money in the Bank in a great last man standing match on SmackDown last Friday night. Him and Sami Zayn. I mean, those guys have had a million matches together, and somehow they still make them interesting.
Never gets old, too.
So yeah, well done by Kevin Owens. My number 1 new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. So yeah, I mean, you had the return of Tegan Knox. Almost, I almost kind of put it at number 2 because of the distraction finish, but I think that the title changing hands deserves a number 1 spot there. Matt,
watching this shit. I can't stop watching it.
Matt or EJ, who wants to go next?
I'll go. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna go 2-3-1 here.
Perfect.
So, my number 2 spot, we had Io and Zoe, big title win. Always have to reward the titles when you're making your top 3s, which is why my number 1, which I will get to later, it's also a title match. 3rd is the Malachi Black debut. I thought it was fantastic. Never going to complain about seeing Cody take a shot. And number 1 match of the night, in my opinion, on AEW was the Young Bucks I can see people having an issue with it. It was a little over the top, but I think you need to see that when you have those street fight type of matches, and I think it delivered in that aspect. So that was my number one. Plus, it's a title match. Plus, I know Jim hates the Young Bucks, so I really wanted to get them on the list this week. Get them some points. Get them up to the top.
I will say this: it was a really fun main event. It was really well done. Yeah,
Matt, you're not a Cody guy,
right, Ryan?
Matt, you're not a Cody guy.
Not necessarily lately. I really enjoyed him in WWE, and I enjoyed him at the start of AEW, but at this point, it's just kind of a bit too much.
A bit, yeah. We'll call it a bit too much. EJ, you're 3.
I posted out here. I'm gonna go Thrace Deuce Uno. Okay, number 3. I'm gonna give them 3 spots to MSK. That match with them and Thatcher versus Thatcher and Ciampa was a fucking banger. Loved it. Number 2, Adam Cole Bebe. Part 2 of him and Kyle O'Reilly. You know,
Cool cow.
That's right. Yeah, that was. I mean, the rubber match obviously is probably going to come at some point, right? I mean, I don't know how soon, maybe, but that was a great match, man. Maybe Adam Cole really is the greatest NXT superstar role. I don't know. I'm buying into that shit now. I'm an Adam Cole I get made fun of on my show for this shit, but I'm a big Adam Cole guy. And boom, there you go. So, and number 1,
Ryan,
of course,
Twitter.
I mean, we burned this out already, though. But number 1, Malachi Black, Aleister Black, Tommy Yan, you name who the fuck his name is, husband of Zelina Vega. I mean, again, he just had to be there to see the reaction. It was just sick. I mean, just the crowd, and it was so authentic. That's the thing. We don't see, you don't see surprises like that anymore. So when you get those, you really take them in and really appreciate them. So that's my 3.
Tim, did we count Marks this week, or does he not count because he's not on the air?
He's not here. He's an intern. He doesn't count.
Damn.
Love it.
He lost his name last week. He lost his voter privileges today.
Damn.
Say, Tim, where does that leave us for the week, and where does that leave us for the year?
First place points, 14 points going to the team of Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. They are our wrestlers of the week. In second is the former Aleister Black, the former Tommy End, the current Malachi Black. At third, it's Nick and Matt, the Young Bucks.
Thing sucks.
And in a 3-way tie for 4th, each receiving 1 point towards the year-end totals, is Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, and Adam Cole. Baby. And for the year, a new contender has snuck their way into the top 5. Roman Reigns still has a stranglehold on the top spot, staying the head of the table. The end-all, be-all, the ooh-ah man, Mr. Ooh-ah-ah himself, 34 points. Kenny Omega second. Killer Karrion Kross is tied for 3rd with Bianca Belair. And at 5th, Jungle Boy has a lady friend in Zoe Stark.
Wow.
No.
In the top 5.
Nice.
I feel like Mark has consistently put Zoe in his top 3.
Yeah. I guess you could say she's the new girl.
Oh,
ooh,
good.
I like that.
Mute him.
Good. God.
I feel kind of shocked.
Way before Gargano, there was Savage and Roddy, and Saturdays on NBC. These 5 guys on Facebook are gonna take a hard look. 3 Count Thursday brings to you the wrestler on the week.
All right. Oh shit, we have a
The 3 count question of the week.
So as we continue, Ryan, why do you act surprised by that every week?
I feel like you had a comment on the Twitter feed, Jim.
No, he didn't.
I'm not. I don't think I'm allowed.
Yeah,
You're goddamn right. You're allowed to.
Nope. Them's the rules, right? If you want to say it, you can literally just say it.
Go ahead. Say it.
Nothing to say.
All right.
Thank you for sending the 3-count question of the week. I appreciate that.
Look at us showing up.
Student of the game, Kyle Nash. He's got the Homeland Security wall. Damn. That's
What's up, 7-5?
But our question of the week this week, as we continue to support the American independent wrestling, we asked you, and we're going to go around the room here. What is your favorite indie wrestling promotion right now in the U.S.? And Ryan, you look like your hand's almost raised. Let's kick it off with you.
Oh, I had an itch.
Still counts.
All right, what was the question again? I wasn't listening.
I hate this show so much sometimes. Favorite independent wrestling promotion, Ryan?
I would have to say, and a lot of this is a lot of personal bias for me, and that's understandable. I would have to give the nod for my favorite independent professional wrestling promotion is the show that given me my first start in independent professional wrestling as a commentator. So I would say Atomic Championship Wrestling, and later ACW and Rogue Women Warriors. Excuse me. Like I said, gave him my start. My first show was with them December of 2016. So we're pushing 5 years. Pandemic be damned. With ACW, they've allowed me to, call some matches for some really, really cool people. A lot of people that I met and I feel like I've become friends with through the independent scene. I was able to call matches for, people that you're seeing on television right now. Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, Penelope Ford, Rich Swann, Thunder Rosa, people like that. People that, stars of yesteryear, if you will, legends, Jazz, the Sandman, to name a few. And a lot of really, really great up and coming and established independent wrestling stars. People from Ring of Honor, Vita Von Star, Tony Deppen, Colby Corino, Lufisto. All these people have had I was able to call matches for them, and hopefully create a little bit of magic and be a little part of the show. So I would have to say Atomic Championship Wrestling would be my favorite independent wrestling promotion.
Cool. Matt or Tim, do you guys want to go next?
Let's have EJ go next.
Well, yeah, apparently you pissed him off, Ryan.
I can go next. I didn't know that. I thought it was your favorite indie promotion. I thought it wasn't, take 5 minutes to pat yourself on the back for the matches that you called.
Yo, man, let him cook. Let him run that victory lap.
Self-aggrandize for a few minutes here.
Victory lap, baby.
It's all good. It's all good.
I can go.
Go. All right, Tim, go ahead.
So, unfortunately, my favorite promotion doesn't exist anymore. And probably for good riddance, for good reason. So, I have had to adjust. And my current favorite promotion is Absolute Intense Wrestling out of Ohio. They have a lot of great young stars like Joshua Bishop, Matthew Justice. They've got great tag teams, To Infinity and Beyond. The main event, not to be confused with the other main event you're seeing with the lion face guy and the other guy. But AIW, fantastic promotion. I'm actively going out of my way to watch all of their events as they come about on independentwrestling.tv. But if I had to pick a second, well, I don't have to pick a second, but if the LVAC ran more concurrently than like their 1 or 2, 3 shows a year, it would absolutely be the LVAC. That's the group that did the wrestling at the drive-in theater a month or so ago.
Those guys that did the big Calyx show.
Heavyweights, no.
Okay, that wasn't.
That is Camp Leapfrog.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Camp Leapfrog's really cool too. Like, There's a lot of, because I feel like right now, as I'm kind of biding time for Jim to get back,
we can move on. We
Yeah,
don't need Jim to survive.
Sure,
I'm not going to
go
lie
for
to
it.
you. Let me
I'm
just
ready.
ask you the
Go
one
ahead.
that is no longer around. Was that the one that you maybe had worked for, or
No,
the bigger brother of that?
the dad of that.
Okay.
Yeah, Chikara. I'm happy to. I'll happily say Chikara.
Yeah. Papa Chikara. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I think in terms of current promotions, that I would say my favorite is MCW. Ryan, you and I have been to a couple of those. I think they always just have a pretty solid card for indie cards as far as it goes. I like the atmosphere, having like an actual arena. Not that there's anything wrong with the wrestling in the fire halls. It's a fun experience as well, but sometimes to get that change of scene and go to an actual like arena,
Other
is
side of
little
a flea
fun.
market.
Right. But at least there's like not doors opening and closing as you watch the show, stuff like that. So I think MCW does a fantastic job in terms of balance too, bringing in big names, both current and former, as well as building up their own talent. You can see a lot of great wrestlers now who came up through MCW just because of the training that they all do together as well. So it's a really tight faction, and I think it's a lot of fun. If you ever get the chance to go and see a show in Joppa, I would highly recommend making that trip. Not far from where we are in Central PA, probably not far from where you are either, Tim. So probably a little too far for you, EJ. But if you're ever in the Maryland area and MCW is running, I would recommend.
And I'll tell you what, to catch Joppa, Maryland this time of year is really a treat.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I think they have a show coming up again, right?
They do. Yep. July 24th, I believe.
All right, very good.
They're running the show.
EJ, do you want to give yours?
Well, I've never been an independent guy, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
I've always been mainstream wrestling for where to go.
Good month for you to join us.
Yeah, exactly. It's only in the last year and a half now where I've started to slowly look at some of the, the guys, the Daniel Bryans of the world, obviously rest in peace, Brody Lee, Luke Harper, watching their old run for Chikara, watching some old Ring of Honor stuff. That I'm starting to appreciate that. So I promised myself recently I'll make an effort now moving forward to start watching more Ring of Honor. I'm starting to watch a little Impact a little bit here and there, things of that nature. Although I don't know, do we still consider those independent wrestling promotions?
Let's hold on to that, because that's kind of a sidebar to this that came up in the social media. For me, mine is probably in kind of similar reasons to Ryan, and unfortunately, like, these companies are either no longer around or no longer or not currently running. Again, pandemic be damned. Hopefully in the coming months there'll be atomic shows, but for me, like PWE, Pro Wrestling Empire, again, when we started out this journey, with 7 years ago or whatever it was, I never thought I'd be calling matches, and then we go ahead and we're calling all crazy sorts of matches, and we're
Crazy matches like what, Jim?
I don't know. It's like some cage matches, and
There was a Chamber of Hell matches, I believe.
one of those, I think. And
Did you guys happen to call a War Games match?
Hey, that's the one.
War Games! War Games! War Games! War Games!
I can't tee myself up, but that's
You weren't teeing yourself up. I was.
Zoa. You guys, this was one of beat me over the head. Look,
EJ,
I
you know,
thought
if you
it
say
was.
it backwards and say Game Wars, there's not a clip for that.
Games! War Games! War Games! War Games!
But Lancaster Championship Wrestling and what turned into Keystone Pro Wrestling for a few months, that gave us some pretty cool memories as well, and some not so great ones near the end there, but it is what it is, but it's been part of our story, part of our journey through the indies here in Central PA. Devin says Classic Championship Wrestling, CCW, and then he said, company is not around anymore, Keystone and Lancaster as well. I mean, that's kind of how we met Devin. So, let's go to that. Let's go to that little side topic because there was
real quick. I just want to shout out the Lancaster and Central Pennsylvania region. There for a while, that was really a hotbed of great independent professional wrestling. It was near the end. It was the near the end of KPW, but you had the Pro Wrestling Empire running out of Harrisburg. You had Legacy Wrestling that was running out of the Manheim, Manheim Lancaster area. You had CCW that was running near Harrisburg.
Still around. Valor still around.
Valor running out of York. You had CCW running the Harrisburg and Lebanon markets. There was so much professional wrestling. Atomic Championship Wrestling kind of still the one still standing. Again, hasn't run shows
around.
The SWO out of Red Lion.
That's where we met DiBiase.
Correct. I mean, there's just so much, and there still is a lot today. Companies like the Pro Wrestling Empire kind of shifted gears and started doing stage shows. Legacy Wrestling has folded, but for kind of from the ashes, we've seen A Night to Remember get launched on a yearly event. Run by one of the gentlemen that ran Legacy Wrestling, and
Kevin Murphy.
Kevin Murphy, right from
PWE,
from Hollywood's finest, from PWE fame, right? So a lot of really cool opportunities to still catch independent professional wrestling, and who knows, indies could pop up at any time.
Yeah, for sure. But the question came up in a comment on Facebook that somebody had answered New Japan, somebody had answered Ring of Honor, and personally, I said I'm not going to fight anybody on it, but personally, I don't.
Boy, did I fight him!
No, I actually didn't. Facebook and not Twitter.
Okay.
But I don't think Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact Wrestling, those are not indies, right? I don't view them as indies.
Of those three, the indie-ish of those three, I think would be Ring of Honor.
Probably.
I understand they're owned by Sinclair. I understand that.
Right.
But I feel like they run their model similar to an independent wrestling promotion where there are a lot of somebody like Tony Deppen, who is an independent wrestler at his core as one of their champions in their promotion. So that's a champion that's not locked to like an exclusive contract. I think MLW never gets brought up in these conversations because you see a lot of exclusivity with their contracts, and that's why MLW doesn't get brought up in the independent conversations. So Ring of Honor, you can make the argument that if they're going to be utilizing independent wrestlers on the regular, that they would have a claim to some level of independent wrestling, even though they're owned by Sinclair and broadcast on television. I think the argument could be made, and I see where people could make that argument. That is a shitty answer because I'm not telling you one way or the other my feelings, but I can see where people come from.
AEW utilizes independent wrestlers all the time.
I'm just going to say that.
And you wouldn't call AEW an independent.
You wouldn't call the WWE an independent for doing tryouts and dark matches either.
No, but AEW uses independent talent on their televised programming every
Well, I mean,
which is called AEW
has
what, dark
squash matches on occasion as well with independent talent.
Right, but Dark, Ryan, I see what you're saying, Matt, but Dark is, I mean, yes, it's on YouTube, but that is one of their programming that accounts to, that wins and loss thing that apparently matters.
Yeah.
Correct. Do you know where like the term dark probably comes from? There are dark matches.
Oh, I get that, but they're not in the sense that they count towards their standings and their wins and loss.
Right.
Which
correct. No different than when Lady Frost lost to Asuka on Raw. That was still a W for Asuka. Like because WWE does not categorize wins and losses.
AW Dark is considered a second show. Like it's literally like they somewhat push storylines on there too.
You're considered a second show.
Whoa.
That's why
it was this. Yeah, I had to look at. I don't know.
I don't know what we're yelling
guess
about.
I guess the main issue
It's reverse
here,
of how I'm thinking about it.
I guess the main issue right here really is defining what is a independent circuit. Because 10, 15 years ago, I would have said Ring of Honor probably independent. New Japan probably independent. They're really not. I mean, they really have their own commerce going. They have their own thing going. Now, granted, people roll through there, but
independent means?
I feel like people think New Japan's an independent because they don't watch New Japan, and they're just like, I don't know what that is, so that must be an independent.
Like, if
we're
you
looking
said,
at you, Jim,
like
I'm
in
not
last-
the one that said they're independent.
in the last 30 years, you would have said who were not independent. Okay, WWF is not independent. WWE is not independent, obviously. NWA, WCW is not independent. AEW is not independent. If you're on TV, in other words, if you're on cable television or having pay-per-views, you know, with the high buy rates, all that, you're not independent. And it's a lot more complicated now.
Does it come down to ownership? Like,
by ownership, do you mean how deep the owner's pocket is?
no, I mean Ring of Honor is owned by one of the biggest broadcasting groups that's out there.
Sinclair, right? Yeah,
they're not owned by the company. So like MLW, that's Court Bauer owns that, right? Like, so that would be considered an independent, right? Or is MLW not considered independent to you guys?
That's the thing. No one can define it.
You're the host. Define it for us.
to me, an independent promotion does not sign wrestlers to contracts.
Okay.
I think that's kind of what it boils down to.
At all. So their entire roster is
independent.
They're not exclusive to.
Yeah, there's no exclusivity.
So they're independent contractors.
Technically, all wrestlers are independent contractors.
I'm not saying anything.
That's a great point by Lee there.
Yeah, ROH's TV deal, MLW now. With their
Impact also too has a TV deal. Access.
So when Impact didn't have a TV deal and was just on like Twitch, were they an independent at that time?
You could argue that.
No, because they had exclusive contracts.
Okay.
Yes. It's because I think it comes down to the exclusive contracts.
I agree.
I would say that's fair.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense than.
So once one person is exclusively signed, and then I'm not trying to say one person to be a smartass, but that would be the deal breaker for you. This person is only working. Okay.
No, because to me,
I would say a roster.
Every time you say to me, I hear you say Tamina. Just as a by the way, so just finish the name.
To me,
Tamina.
Nobody's meaner than Tamina, and if
Let me
it's
tell you
one
about her
person,
father.
if it's one person, an indie promotion could easily use that as a ploy. Like, for example, I'm trying to think of for example, back in the day when Ring of Honor, if Ring of Honor came out and said, we have signed CM Punk to an exclusive contract, everyone will be like, yup, that's our guy. Or this is before Sinclair, obviously. But like, if your local independent signed their biggest star, like their world champion, yeah, that doesn't make them not independent. It just means the one guy is saying he's loyal to this.
So,
promotion.
like LCW back in the day, if they had signed Rhino to, who was their champion, like that doesn't make them not independent.
Rhino had kids that he had to
did have
feed,
kids.
so I don't know if one booking would do it. I don't know.
I would say if you have a roster of signed talent, that's when you get to the point that you're beyond an independent company.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
It could still utilize independent talent.
Sure. I think Tim came close to
Okay.
defining it, really honestly, what he just said there.
Right, because like Tony Deppen obviously is he the TV champion currently for ROH? So obviously
I think
he's
he
still
still is.
independent. But a guy like Danhausen, he can't he can work indie shows, but he can't work on any other show on television because that's part of his deal with ROH.
Right.
Okay. I think that's a good. So yeah, like your ROH, Impact, New Japan, not indies, MLW, not indies. Good. Any other thoughts on independent wrestling promotions?
Have we talked about how much we love the Sea Stars tonight?
No, we
have
not,
not.
unfortunately.
We have not.
Probably no time then.
Yeah, we'll probably get to that next week, or Mark will ramble on about that next week.
Real quick, just as a piggyback to this guy, what do you think is the biggest independent company in the United States is today?
I couldn't tell you that one.
Tough. I mean, GCW's getting huge.
That's the name at the top of my list as well.
Yeah.
Is PWG still running? Are they running so soon?
Yep, they just announced they're going to be running Mystery Vortex.
And I'm assuming they're probably behind the 8 ball with California and the pandemics and things of that nature. But what GCW has been able to do, and hit the ground running coming out of the pandemic has just been absolutely...
I'd say PWG is probably the only thing. It's those two.
Those two?
I would think.
But I think PWG being gone for so long really hurts them.
It might.
I think so too, and I think when you have, and I'm not going to compare the wrestling stylings of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and GCW, but you can get that very super indie feel in a lot of GCW matches as well, than art involving panes of glass and thousands of light tubes that they can put on really, really good professional wrestling matches too. So probably one of those two.
Sure, absolutely.
Beyond, maybe.
Oh,
Beyond's real big.
That's a good one.
Beyond.
Does NWA do exclusive contracts?
Yes.
Okay, I honestly wasn't sure, as I was just thinking through that. Okay.
I mean, obviously, some of their talent is shared.
Sure.
For the benefit of the NWA.
Thunder Rosa, for example.
Right, we've seen Serena Deeb wrestle.
Right.
Mickey James, Nick Aldis.
Aldis has bounced around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yesterday was the 25th anniversary of Bash at the Beach '96, of course, when Hulk Hogan turned, revealed himself as the third man, and that kind of made me think a segment we haven't done in a few weeks. So there was obviously some rumor and innuendo to steal from the Bruce Pritchard show over the years about other people that could have been
shots for ass
the third man. But what if Hulk Hogan wasn't the third man? Would who do you think would have been or should have been the third man if it wasn't Hulk Hogan? And if it wasn't Hulk Hogan, does the NWO have the impact that it did? Because, just the Hogan heel turn, I don't think there's a bigger heel turn in the history of wrestling.
It's not even close.
I really don't. To see Hulk Hogan go from red, yellow to Hollywood Hogan and to form the NWO. There's not a heel turn bigger, in my opinion. If you think there's one, feel free to give that opinion as well. But if Hogan's not the third man, who do you think it is, and is it as impactful? Are we still talking about the NWO in the same way 25 years later?
Mabel.
Fucking Tim, I love you, man.
Mabel.
No, let me take it real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
For the record, what you says is 1000% accurate. It's Hogan is not even close because you have to understand the culture. Someone's awake. Someone's awake.
No.
We're
gonna get another
run in again.
Somebody else take it real quick so I can calm him down.
Sure, go ahead.
There it is.
Anybody want it?
Yeah, I will say the name on the NWO line says Hogan, but the name is Horace Hogan. Horace Hogan joins the NWO, and we talk about it for 3.5 weeks, and we never talk about the NWO ever again.
Horace Hogan. Okay, I think I'm gonna settle down. The only person that could have had a remotely somewhat impact, not even close to Hogan, by the way, for record. I don't think anyone could because of you have to understand how big Hogan was and what he meant to the business at that time. Even though his star was somewhat waning when he came to WCW 94, he was still Hulk Hogan. I don't care who you are. If you casual fan, non-fan, you think pro wrestling, who's first name comes to mind? Hulk Hogan, period, in discussion. The only person that would have made sense to do that was Sting. It would have probably made sense. It would have had impact within the WCW and whatnot. It wouldn't have the cultural impact as much because let's face it, even though Sting is a well-known, within the WCW realm, he's not, unless you're watching WCW product, which honestly I really wasn't. I knew who he was, but I wasn't watching it. Consistently, it would have the impact. Hulk Hogan's well-known everywhere, and that not only exploded WCW, it exploded pro wrestling as a whole. And you look at all the ratings across the board, not just WCW, WWF too. It exploded.
Yeah,
for the next 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely.
That's why when I, say one about Terry Bollea, say one about Hulk Hogan, what do you feel about him today? When I'd say you have to be a complete fucking moron if you say that Hulk Hogan's not belong to Mount Rushmore because he's the only guy that's changed the business twice, not once, twice. Hulkamania, because you don't get WrestleMania with Hulkamania. That goes hand in hand. And then the next, a decade later with the NWO, that doesn't work as much without Hogan. End discussion. So the only guy would be Sting, the only guy that could have somewhat of impact. It would definitely impact the WCW's bottom line. I don't know if it would have the cultural impact in the same way because he wasn't as well known a name as Hogan was.
That's fair. Tim or Matt, you guys want to? Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Sure.
I don't think it could have been Sting because of the fact that even though Sting was the name that was floated around internally as being the third man, the NWO makes sense, especially in that iteration, as being outside in people. So people who have ties to WWF, which makes me think that it's the people who would have been best fits as third men would have been Sting's teammates at Bash at the Beach, being Lex Luger and Randy Savage.
Right.
But as EJ said, it's got to be Hogan. Like the amount of the amount that the needle turned for Hulk, not just being the third man of the NWO, but like being a villain.
Yeah.
In general, being a villain is way beyond belief. Like,
can I just say real quick, like my experience of watching that, because I watched it in real time, I was so shocked. I was so shocked about when he turned that it didn't even hit me until the next night on Nitro. And I watched Nitro, I'm like, oh, okay, he really is doing this shit. This is gonna happen. That's how stunned I was. It took me 24 hours to process the whole thing. And after Nitro, when he throws Rey Mysterio into the trailer and all that, and the takeover, then it hit me. That's how stunned I was in the moment. Again, we talk about surprises. We don't get those anymore. That is by far the biggest surprise in history of wrestling.
That was the first time I ever got a WCW pay-per-view.
Wow.
Because, you know, I grew up a WWF guy, but I was already buying into, well, who's the third man going to be? You know, we had seen Razor Ramon and Diesel show up, and why are they there? And they're telling us there's going to be this third guy. Who's going to be the third guy? And so it was the day after my birthday. So I convinced that's what I got for my birthday that year from my parents is I wanted I wanted to see and holy shit. I mean, it's a moment that changed everything. And yeah, for me, like it's got to be Hogan. I don't think there's anybody, you know, and Tim, you bring up a great point, kind of the outside guys looking in thing of why it couldn't be Sting. You know, the only other name that I had was a Sting or Luger, but I don't think it has the impact.
No,
because the impact of it was the fact that Hulk Hogan, who was the WWF guy and always carried the flag for the company, and then he came over to WCW and he was going to be the guy that was going to lead the WCW charge. And then all of a sudden he turns his back and goes with those WWF guys we still don't really know why they're here.
Right.
And it, yeah, I mean, for Hogan to become a bad guy,
Luger
never
couldn't
made
work.
sense.
Luger couldn't work because Luger has done it before. Luger has been both sides of the aisle. He's been a heel
Sure.
and face. It would have worked. Sting would have worked within the WCW construct only because of the fact that it's WCW. But Hogan represents something bigger than just a promotion. Okay, Hulk Hogan was bigger than the World Wrestling Federation. He was bigger than Vince McMahon. I don't think people comprehend that today because now, for the first time, there's no breakout star where Vince can't control. Hogan was the one guy you could not control. Period. Discussion.
Yeah.
And Hogan, again, the outside impact, the NWO t-shirts. It was wildfire, dude. It was wildfire.
Matt, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, when you posed the question, I couldn't think of anyone else that would make sense. So it has to be Hogan. It's definitely the biggest turn. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it again, to be honest. The only person that could even come close was Cena. I don't think they'd ever do that at this point in his career. So there's no way of forecasting that any moment is ever going to be as big as that moment was.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a face big enough that would send the shockwaves of that person turning. I mean, Roman Reigns was the next closest thing.
Yeah,
and he's hit an absolute home run being a heel by himself. That we would never see it. Randy Hogan would be another name. Jobber Randy Hogan could easily slide in and fill the void if Hulk was not available.
I actually was in a Twitter discussion yesterday about if there was anybody in today's fan. Somebody said today's fan will never understand what the Hogan turn was. And I think Charlie had responded. The only one that listener of the show, Charlie, had said the only person that comes close for today's fan would be John Cena. And
he's correct.
And yeah, like the debate started because the person was like, well, Cena, it doesn't even come close. I'm like, to today's fan, it does. Because today's fan didn't live through Hulkamania and didn't.
Jim, I don't think it does. It does.
It's
4 years
the
ago,
thing,
not
though.
today's fan.
Well,
4
no,
years ago,
okay.
fan.
I think what they meant with today's fan was the generation that didn't watch Hogan and live that turn in
25 and under.
So yeah, so it's people that kind of came up with John Cena as their top babyface.
Okay, I apologize.
But I mean, in retrospect, Cena was a 50-50 character for the bulk of his career. Was Hogan a 50-50 character?
No.
Hogan was whitely babyface and discussion.
So I don't even know. Like I said, John Cena, and I still don't think that.
Now, Matt, do you mean 50-50 to the crowds or towards the character? Because you get booed a lot too, also. But
that's what I'm saying. Is more of because Cena was a heel towards the people that already didn't like him. So it's kind of like he was already doing the job.
The Doctor of Thugonomics wasn't a face gimmick at all. I mean, he would run down the town he was in rapping. That's a great point, Matt.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's Hogan's not even close.
That's why I said it was the only thing that came even close at all for today's fan to understand. Like if Cena would have made that hard turn that people wanted him to, what, 5 years ago or so.
Right.
Did you just destroy a fingernail on that "See You in Hell" water?
Yeah.
That sounded violent.
I heard that one too.
Oh,
we all felt that.
We've all been there.
I honestly believe right now the only one that comes closer right now that we see an impact really with the wrestling community is what we're seeing right now, Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
but even then, it's not even close to Hogan though, because again, the cultural aspect.
Well, the unfortunate thing is when he had his turn, we're in the midst of a Thunderdome pandemic era, so his turn didn't. That return and heel turn for Roman didn't happen in real time in a real crowd.
That's true. That's a good point.
The biggest heel turn over the last, I don't know the exact number of years, but it's got to be when Seth leaves the Shield.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that is
a big turn in general. Yeah,
within the wrestling parlance, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a huge one, actually.
And that doesn't, I mean, again, none of these come anywhere close to, even like the times when, like, Triple H turned on Shawn Michaels with DX or any of those, like, those felt big for that moment, but like none of that stuff ever comes close. But what is the number 2 heel turn? Can you think of like what the next biggest heel turn would be after the Hogan? Because like I think we all agree there's nothing bigger than the Hogan turn. Like that is the number 1. And like I couldn't.
Is it Andre turning on Hulk at WrestleMania 3?
Oh man, that might be a good one.
Yeah, the only other one that popped into my head was Vince being the leader of the corporate ministry.
Yeah, it's me, Austin, son of a bitch. Yeah.
What about
the Batista moment?
But that was
a face turn for Randy.
Yeah, because that was.
Oh, correct. They were heels to begin with, and then they were booting Randy out. That's a good point.
What about the Road Warriors turning on Dusty? I mean, we have to go into like really old, way back wrestling.
Even back that like was when.
Isn't that a shame that we have to do that, and there's not a current?
I mean, the Seth one, but I think because over
Austin?
the last
Austin at 17.
Austin 17 is a big one.
Lee said
Brad at 13.
You think the double turn thing? But I feel like around that time and kind of up until now, Lee says Orndorff turning on Hogan. But I feel like over the last, 2 decades, it's kind of Attitude Era and beyond. It's kind of become that Vince McMahon promo, the shades of gray. Like you don't necessarily get presented good guy and bad guy, and it's kind of whatever you want it to be. So like when Seth Rollins turns on the Shield, there's a section of the audience that cheers that, even though it's a heel turn, but there's a section of the audience that's like, I love this. Yeah. I love the heel turn. So like, and that's kind of what it's become too. So it doesn't have the same impact maybe.
I think it's such a different product too with the fans, and maybe it's really goes back to what we started our podcast with being smartened up a little bit. That you could take something in AEW like the Dark Order, which was a heel faction, and then what happened, and then just naturally, organically, just start turning face. And why fight that? Why make them do dastardly things all the time to make them heels? And even doing dastardly things anymore isn't such a bad guy thing. Sometimes that's just what needs done to get things done.
Sure.
So, I think it's a blend of like the fans getting a little smarter, the fans being, able to enjoy the shades of gray, and this is what's being presented, and you fill out the narrative of how this faction or this group or this character will play out.
Just like The Rock joining the Nation, like does that rank up there?
Because the fans turned on him before then.
Well, that's a good point.
Right, that was, I think, in response
Die, Rocky,
to
die.
Yeah, no, that's a real good point. Yeah, and I think Tim, you hit a pretty good one with Andre turning on Hogan. Yeah, it is wild. It's like, I mean, yeah, there's obviously there's been heel turns along the way. But there's nothing that feels, industry shaking,
right?
Like an Andre, joining the Heenan family and stuff like that. It doesn't have, and maybe too, it's the volume of content that we get as well. I think that's changed it, because like
I'm sitting here trying to think of a heel turn that's happened in NXT, and I can't even think of Adam Cole, but was the Undisputed Era already kind of a
Gargano?
Kevin Owens turned on Sami Zayn.
That was huge. That was a great one. That might have been one of the greatest turns.
Yeah, Cole leaving the Undisputed Era. I'm trying to think of other ones.
Man, that Sami Zayn one.
Ciampa to Gargano.
When Ciampa hit him with the crutch.
Yeah.
Like that was
that was a good one. Okay.
Was there anything with the Four Horsewomen? Did any of them like turn on each other? I don't think they ever did, because they just got called up. Oh, that's a good one, Lee. The List of KO.
There's a good one.
Festival of
Friendship.
Friendship. That is a great one. But again, like that we have to like sit here and like hard think of these moments, because again, you get from WWE alone, you get 7 hours of programming a week. From AEW with Dark and Elevation and Dynamite, you get 6-7 hours, and then you're going to add Rampage on top of it. So like,
it's about as long as this podcast has been going.
There's so much content that's thrown at us that EJ, before we move to the news, the thing we were hitting on here, we've all agreed Hogan is the number one heel turn. Is there one that you can think of that would be a solid number two? I think Tim had thrown out Andre turning on Hogan and joining the Heenan.
That's a great one, actually. That's a great one, because again, cultural impact, not expecting it. The only one other than Andre, I would say, because that would be my second choice also, is probably Austin turn on the Rock. Not turn on the Rock, but the way that went down. Now, granted, that didn't make sustain because the way he did it.
Sure.
But that had a lot of noise around it, both negative and positive, really, to be honest with you. So
that's a good one.
And that essentially ended the Attitude Era, really.
Yeah. Devin saying the Mark Henry fake retirement.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a great segment.
That's the thing. There's a lot of like fun turns.
Right.
But we're talking about like the biggest turns.
Nothing comes close to Hogan.
No.
I guess another good one is a Savage turn on Hulk, Mega Powers. But again, we saw that coming from months of, the clues are there.
It's all Hogan's fault.
Shocking.
The lust in his eyes.
You have lust in your eyes, Elizabeth.
Maybe the only one from a historical point of view that's talked about and referenced the most would be the Barbershop and the Rockers.
That's a good one.
But to put a tag team breaking up on the same level as like Hulk Hogan turning his back on years of fandom, it's just not on that level. But that's something that is still talked about to this day.
No, I think Tim knocked out of the park here. If there's a close second, there's going to be Andre.
That's fair.
But again, that also kind of signifies the rub and Hulk. Hulk was at that point, his third year into the title reign. He was so fucking over. Him and Andre are boys. No one saw it coming. Andre's off TV for about 6 months. Comes back and he turned on him with Bobby Heenan.
There you go.
So there's some shock to that too. So
absolutely. All right, let's get to the news and let's get out of here. During an appearance on the Dan Le Batard show, Tony Khan discussed the exploding ring and revealed he didn't end up paying for the spot. He said, "I was trying to be too safe. I let the professionals handle the stuff, and they are guys who don't understand wrestling. A professional pyrotechnic guy. They totally shit the bed. I ended up not paying them. It was like $100,000. They ended up refunding for all the expenses of the match. I ended up not paying for the exploding barbed wire death match, which I shouldn't have. They screwed up royally. We put together something great. Kenny and John worked their asses off and had to do All they had to do was set up the final explosion. This is because we use professional pyrotechnic people who are supposed to know. The next time we do this, and I will do it again because the match drew, everything John and Kenny did up until that point was outstanding. It wasn't their fault. It did not go off.
I heard that interview, actually. I heard that because I'm a Levitard and Mark.
I figured,
anyway.
yeah, you're a Levitard guy.
Look, I know we shit on Tony Khan for being that kind of nerdy, promoter guy, but you gotta give him credit for being transparent to some degree. He's pretty fucking transparent in a lot of this shit.
He is.
Man, what? You have pyrotechnic professionals handling the pyrotechnics, and next time you won't have the pyrotechnic.
Stupid. I agree
Who
with
the
you,
fuck
Ryan.
are you gonna have?
I'm
The
right.
fucking the arsonist from around the corner, the pyromaniac from down the street come and actually light. You want professionals to do
Jason
professional things.
Pierre Paul
How
will
about
come in
How about shock
for the fireworks.
How about a Shockmaster?
Jesus Christ!
And
how about just be like, look, it sucked. How did he not know that's what the fucking final boom was going to be?
Right.
You have professionals at $100,000 and you don't
Three-finger
look
Freddy.
it over? Get the fuck out.
He's
Shut up.
No, Ryan, you're right. He's transparent to a fault.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable. I agree with you on that one.
The day after, he was like, well, I guess that was Kenny. He put a shitty
Right.
pyrotechnic
To me,
together.
that's the problem. Is
And
he
then
walks out of both sides of his mouth when he does stuff like
But
this.
he said that because John Moxley said it. John said it after the fact.
No.
But Moxley wouldn't know. He was a competitor. He would say, you know what? The pyrotechnic company. I don't want to know that there was a pyrotechnic company to set it up. Let's keep that. I don't. Get the guys that Onita uses.
Suspend reality. We want to be entertained.
I don't give a shit if the match drew or not. Like, these are things that you don't hear Vince McMahon saying, I'm going to ever have this match again because it drew real well.
You know what sucks though about that match though? That was a fantastic match.
Great match.
It was, man. But yeah, it comes down to the ending. And here's the thing: if they want to do one again, they better not fucking miss a second time. That's for goddamn sure. But like, do it again. Don't do it again. WWE does every match they do 100,000 times. So like, I'm fine if AEW does it again. I'm fine if they don't do it again. Like, it doesn't matter to me either way. I'm like with Ryan. It's the kind of the talking out of both sides of your mouth sort of thing that to a fault.
It's a bad look.
Yeah, it really is.
It's okay to keep things close to the chest sometimes. Unfortunate news, obviously, as many are aware, Jimmy Uso arrested Monday night DUI after running a red light, doing 55 and a 35. Been reported. Obviously, WWE officials not happy, and that, quote, high-level people in power are extremely disappointed and legitimately pissed at this latest arrest. Fightful reported yesterday that there is a concern for Uso within the WWE. Multiple wrestlers have expressed they believe WWE should get involved to make sure things get handled before someone ends up getting hurt. He's said to be well-liked among most in WWE. One person compared his incidents to what happened to WWE Hall of Famer Rob Van Dam in 2006, noting that more happened to him than in the 3 arrests for Uso. One top WWE name called Uso's current storyline, this quote, the story we've all been waiting for, and expressed disappointment that Uso would risk that. The overall tone was that of fear for safety, disappointment, and frustration. This is what is his 3rd DUI arrest in less than a decade. I think the concern here is for the person. I mean,
obviously,
there's storyline implications and all of that are secondary to the fact that I think there's a person who does have an issue here, and I think hopefully him seeking out help, because again, it's the long told story. You can try to force somebody into help, but if they're not receptive to that, it probably isn't going to work, at least not to the level that it needs to. But it's unfortunate, and I certainly hope that he seeks out help and gets control of it before there's any. Luckily that nobody has been hurt in these instances, and hopefully he can get the help there. Like we said, Tommy End made his AEW debut last night under the name Malachi Black. And as Tim alluded to earlier, it's Mike Johnson, PW Insider, cleared up back when Tommy End was moved to the main WWE roster several years ago. The company failed to update his contract from the standard 30-day non-compete that NXT talents received to the 90-day non-compete that main roster performance. Johnson described the situation as a, quote, bad clerical error by WWE, and it's unknown if this happened with any other stars that were recently released by the company. So a big whoops by WWE, and we will certainly see in the coming weeks here if anybody else falls into that category as well. And then finally, in a recent interview on Out of Character with Ryan Satin, AJ Styles discussed thinking Vince McMahon would give him a country gimmick in WWE. He said, I was willing to go down to NXT for a couple of months, get my feet wet, and then go to a main brand like Raw or SmackDown. I had no idea what was going to happen. There was talk of, hey, I don't know if we can keep your name. I said, well, that's fine. I'll be whoever you want me to be. But I have this huge tattoo on my side that says AJ, but you can call me whatever you want. I was worried that the Southern accent that I can't shake, that Vince was going to make me wear overalls and come out to a little country song or something with a banjo. I was more worried about that. Later in the interview, AJ revealed that he sent The Undertaker his gloves from the Boneyard match as a gift and a thank you for the match, and that The Undertaker had sent AJ his gloves from the match as well, kind of similar to what we see in a lot of sports with like jersey swaps and stuff like that. But man, could you have imagined if at that Royal Rumble, instead of the AJ Styles theme that we've come to know,
Cotton Eye Joe,
wow,
and this little 5'10" guy in overalls and a banjo comes, and you know what, Hillbilly Jim or Henry O. Godwin or somebody would probably have been his manager.
Yep.
At that point, could you have imagined like that? That would have been like an all-time miss, right? Like we all know who AJ Styles is. And man, if that would have happened, that would have been pretty rough.
You might have heard Jim be critical of WWE.
It's possible, and it doesn't happen very often. But
would that or a Mighty Mouse gimmick have been worse?
That one.
Neville,
that would have been.
I think the country gimmick for Styles would have been.
Just because of how recognizable Styles was, I think that's just
By recognizable, you mean
spent
the weekend at Jim's house, right?
Right, absolutely.
Hey, it could have been worse than Disco Inferno, just for the record. So,
wow,
man, I think maybe that can be like our next tournament is like worst gimmicks ever.
Oh, we got many of those.
Oh, there's so many.
There's been a plenty. There has been a plenty, but
have to have a bracket of 128.
That's gonna have to be a real big bracket.
Half of them are Brutus Beefcake.
Brutus the fucking barber.
Oh my god, yeah, I got double dose of old Brutus for my NWO Dream Team today on the WWE page.
I did. I enjoyed the Brutus and Greg the Hammer Valentine Hidden Treasure episode. Actually,
that was
quite a lot. I found him very tolerable there.
Well, it was only a 40-minute show.
It was, yeah.
You guys shit on Brutus. Brutus was way over at 88, 89, 90. He was fucking over.
Yeah,
we were babies then. We don't remember.
He was fucking over.
Anybody have anything else before we close this thing up? All right, let's go to that. EJ, we'll start with you since you were the guest of the show. Plug away, my friend. Let people know where they can follow you and Take 3 and all that stuff.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm finally on the show. You can catch my podcast, called my wrestling podcast, Take 3 Wrestling, with my boys Mike and Joe. What's up, fellas? Check out all podcast catcher, and of course my regular podcast, First Speaker podcast. I do. Jim's on there quite often, almost monthly at least.
Almost.
On Twitter, of course, at EJ7. And yeah, that's all I got for you, man. Thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for joining us. Ryan, got anything for the people?
Yeah, I do. This month we're celebrating our salute to American independence. Got to go that way, American independence. So this way, there it is. Make sure you're following us along 3 Count Thursday, the Facebook page, facebook.com/3 Count Thursday. We're going to be posting the independent shows that are rolling up here. The end of July is going to pick up tremendously. We've got PPW coming up, GCW Homecoming 1 and 2, the ECWA Super 8 women's tournament is coming up to wrap up the month. I believe there is a GCW show tomorrow night. And we're going to be filming, again, not an independent. We've discussed this, but the Ring of Honor Best in the World is July the 11th. Fans, don't bring streamers this time. Streamers are not allowed at this Ring of Honor show. So you can follow me. It's RYN Eagle. I don't know. What do I tweet about it anymore? I think I put a couple political posts up. And maybe tweet about AEW. Maybe I'll tweet this weekend. Who the hell knows?
We never know.
You never know.
You can catch me across all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, if you care, at Not the Tool Man, across all the board. I'm on TikTok, but I'm doing TikTok if you want a TikTok. That's great. If you enjoy what I said here, I do a couple other podcasts. Final Wrestling Place, where we talk about the best and worst in the history of wrestling. This season, we're talking about the cool things of summer. So really enjoying talking about that. And after every WWE, AEW, and NXT pay-per-view, we do Viewer's Choice on the North-South Connection. It's a fun time with my best friend, Marcus. Check that out. Be good to each other. Love one another. Kiss your homies. And have a great weekend, guys.
Matt, how about you?
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at 3CT, the letter A. Philly is in Philadelphia, the number 8, 3CT affiliate. Make sure you are following along with the 3 Count Thursday Instagram page. That's at 3 Count Thursday. I will be posting the updated standings for the Woman of the Year competition on Sunday, so keep an eye out. We're halfway through the year, so I will give you who is the top 5 vote getters at this point. Liking a post equals 1 vote, so if you see a wrestler you would like to be named as a Woman of the Year, give their posts a like.
All right, you can follow me at Big Jim Sports, but the most important thing here is that you follow along with the show at 3 Count Thursday, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Go to patreon.com/3 Count Thursday. Go to our store.collarandelbowbrand.com. Use promo code 3 Count for 10% off each and every order. Whatamaneuver.net, of course, the home for all 3CT merchandise, our home network, NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. The League Sports and Music Network is our secondary home, LEEIBsports.com. But just be safe out there, stay smart, and until next time, go for the pin.